Round 11 continues at Etihad Stadium with St Kilda hosting the West Coast Eagles. The Eagles go into the match without their captain Darren Glass and Mark Lacroix, both injured during the week. But the big news today is that superstar centre-half forward Josh Kennedy is a late omission. The pressure is always on the coach, John Worsfold. It's been such a difficult year for you, John. Appreciate your time before the match, but you've really struggled to get your best side out there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of changes week in, week out, but regardless of that, we still haven't played as well with the squad that we've put out as we would like. So our focus is to really stay strongly focused on how well we can play, build our form throughout the year, and hopefully we are going well enough come September to have teams worried.
No Kennedy, though. It's a very different forward line than the one we're used to. I mean, Quentin Lynch we know is at Collingwood. No Lacroix, another omission. But how are you going to structure up?
Well, we've got a couple of good marking forwards in Josh Hill, and Andrew Embley can play up forward and be a taller marking option. So Nat Nui and Cox will definitely be spending a fair bit of time down there. So amongst those guys, we think we'll still have some marking targets, but it's just about being smart, moving the ball in there now. Energy
and effort, it was nowhere near what you'd expect last week. How have you addressed that during the week?
Well, it's a short week for us, so really it was around mentally letting the players know that we were off the boil last week. There's no doubt about that. That was mental. There was a little bit of physical stuff in there as well. So in the short week, we've addressed it as well as we can. It's up to the players to show how they want to be seen as a team.
You know all about paper teams, but on paper you look to have a major advantage through the middle of the ground. Well, you address the fact that you won the hit-outs, you won the first possession, but you got beaten for clearances last week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an ongoing area for us to keep working on, and again, we're Maston's spending a lot more time on ball this year. We're trying to build some ability to be more flexible through there, and that's having some detrimental effect immediately, but we think that'll give us a bigger benefit come later in the year.
I guess one of the bonuses of having injuries is that we get to see some young players, and Blaine Wilson, who was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, has battled hard with injury, and he finally gets his run.
Yeah, his attitude's been outstanding. His form's been wonderful for East Perth this year, so he's travelled as an emergency a couple of times this year. Just missed out, but he gets his opportunity tonight, so it's wonderful for him.
As always, John, you've been fantastic for us. Appreciate your time and good luck today.
Thank you.
John Worsfold, coach of the Eagles, will come back after the break with Dwayne Russell and the opening bounce. Welcome back to Etihad Stadium. Mark Rasciuto, we want to have a closer look at the West Coast Eagles and what's gone wrong. See if we can identify a couple of areas which have really fallen away for the West Coasters. There's the start to the year. A terrible start, losing obviously 4 of their first 5, 3 of them at home.
Yeah, a lot of people thought they were going to win the premiership, but gee, they started off. Only beating Melbourne in the first 5 games is not what you want, and they just haven't been able to win over at home, Kingy, a place which has just about been impossible to win at in the past.
This is the reason why. Versus the top 8, they've been poor. Versus the bottom 10 sides, they've been brilliant. They've been elite. The discrepancy is the problem. They have fallen away dramatically against the top 8 sides.
Well, the differential is just too much, isn't it? Look at that, 45-17, 4.5 turnovers, 11 minutes different against the poor sides. Marks inside 50s drop well off in a side where they've got good marking players. Have a look at this. This one really stands out, Kingy. The ball comes to ground. In years gone by, they'd be swooping on that like a seagull. Too much ease for the Richmond defenders just to run out with no pressure on them. They can kick long and high. And have a look through here. There's no pressure on. They look half-paced, the Eagles. They look tired. They're not putting pressure on the ball carrier. Very un-Eagles-like. Usually in years gone by, they'd be getting smothered in and they wouldn't be able to press out at all. There's some things wrong with West Coast. This was a very bad performance on Monday night and totally out of character.
Been worked out a little bit maybe by the better sides in the competition. Let's have a look at the other side of the coin for St Kilda and big boy McAvoy. Are his numbers all Australian-like? Because I've heard some people talking about his season, but those numbers there are not reflective of that status.
Well, the hit-outs aren't. 22 is not enough for a lead ruckman who spends a lot of time in the ruck, so he needs to lift. He's dropped off since Sam's Jacobs gave him a touch-up there.
Coach didn't even put him in for the first centre bounce last week, Dwayne. I can't wait to have a look in a moment.
Spot on, Kingy. He's got a massive job today, Nat, Nui and Cox. As you mentioned, he could be the key. Danny Frawley with me, former Saints superstar himself, and it is a massive day for individuals. We talk about teams all the time, but for some individuals, you have to make your mark.
Well, McAvoy did an article in the Herald Sun today in Melbourne and was the first to admit his form hasn't been great.
Yeah.
And he needs to step up, and what a great opportunity today as we have a look at the teams. Hickey and Wright out for St Kilda, Saunders the sub, Sard in. And that does mean that Stanley at half back there, I think they may throw him forward now, Dwayne, without Kennedy, as we'll talk about. So to me, I reckon the Saints have a little bit of advantage without Glass, as we said, out of the team last week, and Lacroix. And the big out is Josh Kennedy. So have a look at their forward line now. It means that their ruckman will play forward, Cox and Darling. So look for Stanley for St Kilda going forward.
Evans it right up as we head downstairs, and welcome back three-time premiership star, Cameron Mooney.
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne. Look, we know St Kilda haven't had their great start of late, and we saw North Melbourne last week put 9 past them in the first quarter. Now, Scotty Waters spoke about this in his press conference during the week. Here's what he had to say.
We were very disappointed with our first quarter last week. Playing group were able to stabilise after quarter time, but the first quarter there's been a lot of review put into it this week. It's been a steep learning curve for a lot of our younger players to go through that type of quarter, but ultimately you get the chance to respond and learn from it. So we're looking forward to playing again this week.
Now, he said he wanted to get off to a fast start, and we look at here the first quarters where they're really been down. Now, look, for me, how do they get off to a fast start? Well, we saw the Eagles last week. They had 81 hit-outs, but they lost the clearances. For me, it comes to stoppages, and McAvoy is a huge part of that. He needs to nullify Cox and Nat Nui to give the likes of Armitage and Stephen a chance. Because once they get the ball into their half, I tell you now, I back this guy here on screen, Rewalt and Milne, to put a scoreboard pressure on. We know Richmond did it last week, boys. I suspect that they'll do it today with Saints.
Yes, there's the toss of the coin. Nick Rewald with Dean Cox. Cox gets away to a flyer, and he no doubt will want to get hold of the football as well as win the toss, but they are heading to what will end up being left of screen. And Neil, you spoke about Rewald and Milne. Collectively, they've been the thorn in the West Coast Eagles side. They have really been stars for them, kicking 34 goals and 29 goals respectively. But it is about the start for St Kilda. They have built this up all week, Spud, but it's not against easy beats. The West Coast Eagles, they've got a point to prove as well after a very poor week last week.
No, there is, as we said, a number of outs. Kennedy out, Hickey out for St Kilda, which means Stanley may go forward. So the boot might be on the other foot, because we look at West Coast Eagles forward line normally, and they've got a lot of tools there. We see Prentice there earlier. Nick Rewald pre-game, he did a 20-minute warm-up, which most players ran 3 or 4 kilometres, Nick Rewald.
Yeah, he had to have a rehab after his warm-up, but that's been the secret to his success. Just such a great worker, hard worker, such an enormous standard. The question is for St Kilda, will enough people follow him?
Yeah, Dean Cox, and no doubt, and Darling there. They're going to have to make some forwards. I think Cox and Nat Nui need to kick 4 goals between them, Jared.
West Coast will move into the top 8 with a win. They could move up to 7th. They could push Collingwood out of the top 8. That's what it means for the Eagles, and we're underway. Nat Nui up high. Shuey kick smothered by Armitage. Tackle laid by Jones. Hearn, and his normally long boost forward. McAvoy got there. Fed it back though, didn't want to go forward. So Nunes, Jones, Gwilt, although Cox cut it off. And Gwilt finally gets a kick to Trent Dennis-Lane back into the lineup for the Saints this week. Cutting it off though, doing well, was Donnell back into the lineup this week for the Saints. And Hearn met hard by Meister. Umpire said, keep going, boys. Stanley gets it up. Trent Dennis-Lane back into the lineup. Back inside 50.
Good start there. It's interesting to see St Kilda have gone extremely tall now with Josh Kennedy out, Jared. Stanley's gone forward with Meister and Rewalt.
Yeah, well, Blaine Wilson's been given a big job. Full-back he started off with on Meister.
Turnover. Long launch this time from Stanley. And another opportunity goes begging early.
Well, he had a little bit more time than he thought then, Stanley. In his defence, it was a quick handball, but he actually could have steadied there, picking up one step.
Well, big miss by Stanley and also Trent Dennis-Lane. He was running into an open goal. He just needed to deliver there. Back into the side today.
Butler in game 100. Big milestone for him. Meister and Nat Nui go at it. Scott Sell with the Nat Nui, who has a gallop. Looks up, sees Hearn. Will he go the whole distance here from 60? Long, goal square, Hams! Post.
And Nick Del Santo looks like he's playing across that half-back line. And pretty handy given that he gets the kick-in duties.
Jones, Dempster, Stephen. Nicely worked. Stanley having influence.
It's a fast track. There's plenty of fast players, and that's a fast start by the Saints that they're chasing.
And Mill gets 50. This will be a certain goal. And the Saints look on.
Well, they do, and I think the Stanley moves upset the balance for West Coast Eagles. He's had an impact already, Stanley. He's had 3 disposals. A beautiful kick to Mill.
And there's the first of the afternoon.
Well, there's a bit of symmetry, Spud, between the side that Scott Watters has selected today and it's the side that he selected against the Blues, where they had a similar start. They got away to an enormous kickstart against the Blues. Highly fancied coming into the match, the Blues, but the Saints had their best win for the year, and right now this is looking awfully like it. Lots of smaller players included. They dropped Tom Hickey. They're going small. They're going fast.
Oh, what a great start for Reece Stanley there on Brown. A couple of matchups too that Scotty Watters has got there. Clinton Jones on Shuey and Sam Donnell come into the team on Gaff. So a couple of hard tags there for the Saints early.
Cox into the ruck now for the West Coast against McAvoy, who's going to have a big afternoon at the office. You heard the call from the umpire. It was play on initially and wasn't coming out. Blaine Wilson's got to start in game 1. Big afternoon for him. Into the lineup for his first game of AFL football. And if you joined us late, Jamie Cripps, a late inclusion for the West Coast. Josh Kennedy out. So their leading goal kicker not playing. And there is Blaine Wilson on your screen up against Meister.
Also a bit of interest in the tactics across half-back. I'll come back to it.
Stanley the flick down. And it's Lane the knock on. Milne working hard. Kickable by his standards. Oh, if Milne's on, the Saints are on.
Well, that was the tactic I was talking about, trying to get out across the airwaves, and that is Stephen Milne's going to Hearn. Hearn's just tried to get away from him because Selwood is trying to get onto Milne, and yet Milne's the one who ended up free. Here he is. Selwood in behind. Hearn not to be seen. And that's a great start.
And that's what happens to Adam Selwood. He thinks that Hearn's being accountable. Yep. He needs to play a hard tag. Milne's kicked 2 goals in the first 2 minutes of play. Great start. Look at the contested possessions, nice and early for the Saints. 7-2. That's a great start. Milne there on the bench. What a start for him.
Umpire calls play on and then realises it was a poor bounce. Has to bring it back. Some pressure on Scott Watters. Pressure on both coaches, really. Not having the seasons that they hoped to. These 2 ex-teammates of the West Coast. Squeezed forward, hoping for, but not finding Darling. So no Kennedy to kick to. Kerr. Sidestep, clever. Flicks a handball up. Hill feeds it on. Embley plays for the free. It wasn't there. Umpire said Webster was out. It'll come back.
Now we know the Kerr will play through the middle at some stage, but Danny, as he gets older, I think he needs to spend more time in that forward pocket. He's a fantastic option as a small forward. We saw Andrew Embley there. The coach told us before the match he would be one of the fill-in forwards, and we know he can do the job there.
Both Cox and Nat Nui around this ball in and both ran under it. Geary did well, put his body on the line, took the ball, beelined it. Jones jumped on. Ross dragged down. Hot footy at the moment. Embley tries to make it his, flicks it out the back. Ray. Del Santo outside of the boot. Meister's ball. Can't get there before the bounce. Brown. Flick on. Good work rate. Brown to Butler. Stanley crashes in. Armitage. Arms free. Got it away. No one home though. McKenzie. Pursued by Rewald. Pursued well. Rewald's got 3 to beat here. Couldn't quite beat them all. Rosa Blaine Wilson, his first kick is a good one. Shuey.
Good hard running from Shuey, 80 metres for that lead.
Likewise, Darling.
Nat Nui pushing forward on Gwilt. He's obviously got the advantage.
Prentice dropping into the hole, but he's missed him.
Hill.
Well, surely you just go one-on-one. Nat Nui's in the square.
Say, come at me, and then kicks him a ball like that.
Well, the kick actually dictates where Nat Nui goes to. He just kicked the ball
Into the third row. No, Nat Nui's not going there.
No, he's not going there, Dwayne. 20 metres out, directly in front. Gee.
Webster. Everybody takes a breath. Hasn't been many opportunities to so far on this. Meister couldn't bring it down. Saad didn't have a kick last week and wasn't subbed in or subbed out. He played the whole game. Still hasn't got one today. Gaff short. Marston. Prentice. Puts it up high. Again, Darling with a couple to beat. Hill crashes at the ground. Darling with the flick back. Embley to Hams. Shepherd. Just not clear.
It's got to separate the two Eagles forwards there. Hill and Darling flew for the one ball. Isolate and create for each other.
Rewalt's ball this time, perhaps. He's up against the first gamer.
That's great.
There's always go to beat Wilson there. Ray on the run. Saad. Almost won himself a free. Stanley kicked it off the deck. Geary to Jones. They've got the runners. He drives it through this time, Stanley. He's already had a sider. Needs to nail this. Big time delivery that. They've got the first three.
Right rate's been superb, Spud. Absolutely spot on. You can see their hands on hips, both players, but you need your class to come to the fore. That was a much better kick. It gave it to the advantage of Rewalt, and he didn't let him down.
Well, the thing about it, Rewalt went up. McKenzie laid back, but he had no impact when he went forward. So if you're going to allow Rewalt to get involved in that play, he had to go and play on Stanley and double team there. But what a start from Stanley. Played most of the year in defence. He's had 5 disposals already, 1 goal, 1. Oh, this has really put the West Coast on the back foot. We thought that Stanley was going to play as the mobile ruckman with Kennedy out. Scotty Waters is a master stroke move, pushing him forward.
McAvoy got a flick down. Ray missed it. Tackle laid by Armitage on Rosa.
Spud at the start of the game, we spoke about the starts that St Kilda want to get off to. The ferocity and the tackling down here just along the boundary line a couple of minutes ago was just incredible. You can really tell the boys have just come out to play today.
McAvoy laying a tackle on Prentice. Crowd want ball.
Well, Moons have gone inside 6 times St Kilda for 3 goals too. So that's a magnificent strike rate, scoring efficiency-wise.
Nat Nui, almost a push down rather than a knock. Kerr, where you'd expect. Prentice to half forward. Did well, Nunes. Turned it over almost. Hams nearly stole it. Rosa with a push in the back. Free against Armitage. Saad, quick
space forward.
Ray heads into space. Long ball. Donnell chases. Needs to flick it over. He gathers. Rewalt says now kick it back to the spot. Meister. Well played by Donnell. Back into the lineup this week.
Well, it's all working. It's all working because Donnell's tagging Gaff. He pushed forward. Just the space inside their forward half at the moment. They're very reactive at the moment, West Coast. Surely they must have known St Kilda were going to come out hard, Jared, because last week they were smacked in the first quarter of the Saints.
Yes, you can see there Donnell, he's got the job locking down on Gaffer, the Gapper tape job, and he's been led to the ball there again. Really nice disposal.
For a 4-goal to 1 start. Awesome from the Saints.
Well, speed killing right now, Spud. And it's not just absolute leg speed, it's just the way they are moving the ball.
And not only that, Jared, there's the fact that they've kicked 4 goals and Rewald's had no impact, and that's only going to make Nick Rewald a better player.
But on that occasion, you could see Donnell just did have the extra turn of speed. Had Gaff well covered. Really liked his composure under pressure, though. Could have gone round, could have blasted away, but no, he spotted up by Meister.
Sam Donnell, as you see, first game of the season for him, just his 6th game overall. Nat Nui and Kerr having a rest, and that means Cox is into the ruck.
I know that Kennedy's a laid out, but Darren Glass is a big out at the moment for West Coast.
Bounce favoured McAvoy, and he knocked it straight to Cox. Little fumble from Shepherd, and in a hot game, that's all it takes.
It's hard to recognise their backline right at the moment, Spoke. No Schofield, no Waters.
Well, Darren Glass is the one though, Jared, as I said, the All-Australian captain. He makes everyone else play their rightful position. It's like an Australian wicketkeeper.
Saints with a couple out though, of course, as well, including Fisher, their main defender.
Doesn't matter who you got playing though, right? Sorry, Cameron, it doesn't quite matter who you got playing. At the moment, they are getting killed for intensity and work rate. They need to just find the footy.
Montagna hacks it forward, backing back with the flight. Hearn. Wilson runs for McKenzie, who directs him to Shuey. Jones holds him up. Rosa used his body. Embley back of the pack. Hams wants it in the square. Embley sees him now. Hams almost on his own. Feeding back on Wayne Banner. All the way home, Andrew Embley.
Oh, that's just a magnificent setup there. We might head to Cam Mooney. Hearn, that's the one Jared was talking about early, Cam. He was the one the initiator made that forward thrust.
Well, that's what I was just about to say there, guys. Milne had just pushed himself up onto the ball, which obviously left Hearn back behind by himself. Now, when Milne came up, he didn't instruct everybody else that he was now come up and that Hearn was a spare man back. So he needed to tell them, once we win the ball, we need to run it out with handball and run the ball and run the ball through the middle of the ground, not just quick kick it, which they did and went straight down Hearn's throat and they slingshot it back for a goal.
Now we have a look at the forward thrust there. As I said, Hearn's the one. You're right, Jared, that Milne or Sard need to make sure they man him up.
The ball up. Stephen the clearance. And speak of the devil, here's Hearn.
Well, there's so many terrific players out for the West Coast. They're going to need all their other top liners to absolutely play blinders, given that they've given up a 4-goal lead or a 3-goal lead right now.
And it was important that Embley got on the scoreboard nice and early because he's going to play predominantly as a forward as well.
Shepherd, good hands this time. Nat Nui, got it.
Magnificent mark, magnificent kick. That's the perfect kick to a forward though, isn't it? Especially Nat Nui. He didn't have to break stride.
It was
right in front of his eyes.
But the next kick is the one that counts. What was with him just didn't have the athleticism as most people happen to go with him.
Kick 5 goals won this year. Nick Nat Nui, that's the poll really all players from this spot, 41%. But when you're a superstar like Nat Nui, nothing's impossible.
Never in doubt, Spud.
That's amazing. That's amazing finish. And look on the scoreboard. I know St Kilda got away from the fly. And have a look at this kick again. Beautiful lead from Nat Nui. His timing's immaculate there. Nat Nui is a key forward. He waited. He waited and waited, but the finish was just absolutely outstanding. They've had the 8 inside 50s, the Eagles. St Kilda have only had 7. We know they've kicked 4 goals too, but there's a great chain of events there, coast to coast, basically from the half-back line again, West Coast.
Yeah, as you mentioned the half-back line, it was Shannon Hearn once again, gets the mark, and then all of a sudden the ball goes in deep, and then a really nice kick to Nat Nui, and then Nat Nui, well, magnificent finish.
Well, that's where they've got to win the game, Jared, from the half-back line, and Hearn's the one. He's had a hand in both their goals already, so they've got to make sure St Kilda put pressure on the half-back line of the West Coast Eagles and don't allow easy entries outside their forward 50.
Nat Nui jumped over McAvoy.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Just clean leapt him.
Does that surprise you?
Well, McAvoy's reasonably tall.
Have a look at this leg. Just having a look. McAvoy's 200 centimetres.
Well, the Saints' big problem now is having accountable half forwards. It's okay, both Sard and Trent Lane, Dennis Lane are excellent with the ball in front of them, but they've got to play both roles.
Well, they're playing the extra at the moment, the Eagles. Down in St Kilda's forward half. They've done well either, Saints.
Brennan got it up just in time. Or Wilson a little slow. Caught by Ross. No prior opportunity according to the umpire. That's why he was cut some slack.
Terrific
Get the
game.
ball up.
Good intensity. And it's great tactics as well from both coaching boxes at the moment. It's just magnificent. Look at the pressure there. And that's what St Kilda need to do. The last 2 goals the Eagles have got, it's come out of the St Kilda forward half far too easily.
Free kick, and Ross is going to take it.
He's a pretty impressive youngster.
Hands it off immediately. Montagna to the spot. Rewald can't get there. Almost crumbed at McKenzie. Had first bite and second. Brown to Shuey.
Oh, great
Did he
tackle.
have prior? Umpire said no. Play
Oh,
on.
he did one. He took 4 steps, Luke Shuey.
And now a high free West Coast way.
Oh, Rewald, and rightly so, is having a look at the umpire. That was a perfect tackle.
So Selwood wide. McKenzie can get and go. Kerr. Scott Selwood.
This is where St Kilda need to put the pressure on.
Brown, who might be playing for the Saints next year. Wanted to go there and play this year. Nat Nui to Cox. Took on Quilt. That didn't look much like a handball either. Embley bounces it inside 50. Good attack, Dempster. Webster makes it somebody else's problem. Geary stands under it. Does okay.
Let's have a look at that. Now, the build-up was another 2 steps. Now, did he get boot on the ball? I don't think he did. I think, yeah, you can see Scott Waters. I agree, Scotty. That was perfect tackle.
He had a similar scenario with Dean Cox only 30 seconds ago.
Prittis gets one for high. Hands to Gaff. Umpire provided a little shepherd there. Darling. Slapped clear by Dempster.
Well, he becomes a super important player now. Jack Darling for the West Coast Eagles. Just looking at the umpire to see if it was held, but well, it was pretty good body use there from Dempster.
3 men up. Cox doing some tackling.
It's interesting with Jack Darling now. They're playing a more running type defender on Jack Darling instead of the big lumberer. Last week was Batchelor, did a very good job from Richmond, and now Sean Dempster from Kilda is playing on Jack Darling because of his athleticism and his running ability.
Saw Rewald having a rest with Stephen Cox. Couldn't get the shot away decisively. Sard attacked it, left it behind Darling. He was turned by Montagna, so that's no free. It wasn't in the back. And again, Webster hacks it out of the area. Prittis, it'll be coming back. Selwood to the pocket. Hams, good reach.
Better from the Eagles. This is what the Eagles have built their success on over the last couple of years, and that's forward pressure, Spud. Absolutely missing last week, underpinned by work rate always, and that wasn't there tonight. It looks as if they've got themselves back in this game. Some of their better players are starting to find the ball.
Saints kicked the first 4 goals of this game. This is for 3 in a row to the West Coast. Miss.
Well, time in the forward half for the year, the West Coast Thursday, they're ranked 3rd. And last week, Richmond owned that, and they got beat. So it's super important they try and hold the ball inside their forward half.
Del Santo. Butler, Trent Dennis Lane. He did well, he marked that. 3 grabs. To Ray. Stanley.
Impressive display so far, Reece Stanley.
And now Rewald and Meister. Both up. Meister crumbs it to the deck. And below the knees. It's against.
Well,
I think it's against him.
yeah, it is. Let's have another look. Now that's okay in my opinion.
That's the
Took the
rules,
legs from under him. Yep, I like it. Mearns, but that was a let off St Kilda. St Kilda had Nick Rewald and Meister flying against Selwood there, so they got out of jail there, the West Coast Eagles.
Aston to Wilson. He's shown some poise. He's not a teenager at least. He's been on the list a couple of years, and he hits Hearn on the move, and he hits Hill.
Well, Shannon Hearn is on fire, and I like the look of Blaine Wilson. His kicking efficiency looks excellent.
Nat Nui. Gwilt felt for body, and Nat Nui just felt for leather.
Well, that's just good disposal from the back half, Spud. Wilson is doing really well, and Shannon Hearn's the one hitting targets.
He's the one. 5 kicks, 80%, and now 3 of his 5 kicks, Jared, are going to end up shots at goal. So he starts the chain of events, Hearn. He's the one that the St Kilda coaching staff need to nail on that half-back line.
And a hush falls over Etihad Stadium. Saints fans know this man could be the man. post.
They've dominated the last 10 minutes of West Coast Eagles after St Kilda got off to a flyer.
And Nick Del Santo's got to find targets. That's an easy one. I won't even give him that one. But the last time, the last kick out went long. Wasn't really A grade.
In the last 10 minutes, West Coast Eagles 38 kicks to 18, 6 inside 50s to 1, and 2 goals to the West Coast Eagles.
It's okay having a fast start. That's what St Kilda wanted. That's what they got. But now it's about getting the job done for the whole match.
Seen a lot of teams this year with fast starts losing.
Lovely handball from Ray.
Shepherd tried to hand it off quickly. Made a little mess, mopped it up. Shuey, no one in the square. Has to get onto the right side. Hams.
That's the perfect kick. St Kilda had 6 players behind the ball. That's the only option he had. That is an incredible kick under pressure.
Well, it was brilliant decision-making by Luke Shuey. He could have gone onto his left foot, but as you said, Spud, it was only going to go to 3 St Kilda players. He whipped around, he got away from some pressure, and he found Hams.
31 possessions and 3 goals for South Fremantle last week. They've won him his spot back in the West Coast lineup. Offline, and they've had their chances. Could be all square. They could be in front.
Well, the last 10 minutes, Dwayne, uncontested possessions, 32 to West Coast, 12 to St Kilda. They've got the game on their terms at the moment, West Coast. And that's where St Kilda need to get their tackling pressure. Play hip on hip. At the moment, the leg rope's far too long.
So the Del Santo kick to Montagna in the pocket seems to be their go-to thought from behind. Ray in front of Rewalt, who again fed down to half-back, same as they did last time. And he pumps it. Stanley's got a couple to beat. Embley knocked it down, but straight to Montagna. Off the boot.
Well, you would have seen on that wider shot that Ahmed Sadi is just playing ahead of the game at this stage, looking for that one over the top on the fast break. Nearly got away with it there. And he's now been locked down by Sam Butler.
McAvoy from behind. Armitage got his arms free. Sard caught by Butler again. Can't get a possession away.
And the Eagles runner is now out to all the defenders, in particular their +1.
Yeah, well, I think it's Jacob Brennan now, Jared, because Hearn, they're putting a lot of time into Shannon Hearn, so they're trying to get Jacob Brennan as that extra.
Embley. Darling's got a couple to beat here. Newman's content with Gwilt to see it out.
There's St Kilda's +1 there, so great tactics.
I think the Saints have got an issue with Ahmed Sard on Shannon Hearn. I mean, you saw Ahmed Sard, he was 40 metres the wrong side of the pack before. Shannon Hearn's going to be up there. It's going to be a picnic for him. It may cost him a goal or so, but Hearn's created a couple already.
Gwilt pushed out by Darling, umpire said.
Yeah, good front position. Good courage there from Gwilt. Normally the quick kick, that's great play as a defender. And the quick kick out of that stoppage normally drops low, and Gwilt was right there.
McAvoy.
Good grab, good strong mark.
Inside 4 minutes to quarter time. Rewalt. Free.
Beautiful lead from Rewalt. That's all Mackenzie could do there. He made him earn it. He was always going to mark the ball, Nick Rewalt. And Mackenzie will be wrapped with Rewalt if he gets most of his possessions here, as we've seen so far this year. His work rate gets the ball here, then 8 times out of 10 he'll end up marking the forward half.
Just having a good Sard up against Hearn. Clearly his coach has said make him accountable, try and drag him back to the goal square, and that's okay, so it becomes a matter of who reads the play best.
Donnell to Ross, ignores Milne, goes to Sard, and this time he plucks it. Lead from Stanley, ignores that, he wants to go for goal himself. Sidestep, run to 50, drives it long, doesn't have the carry. That's a great pluck getting back by Shuey.
Magnificent mark. That's great defensive running. He's getting tagged by Clinton Jones, yet he's got the work rate to get back behind the ball, so he can always have an impact even if you're getting tagged.
Kerr. Darling was the big leaper. Montagna, Del Santo, Ray.
Darling's the one that they've got to get into the game. He hasn't really grabbed any game by the throat in recent times.
Kerr did well and then did poorly. Straight back to Dempster, to Geary, sits it on him. Shepherd a hand on it. It works. Geary caught, dragged down. Could have been ball. Nat Nui tries to run through Ross. Umpires have put the whistle away. Shepherd bumped into side, jumped on, drags it in, ball up. What did you make of Sard's decision before not to pass and go for goal?
Well, McAvoy was on. I would have. No, well, I'll tell you right now, Dwayne, he should have hit the target. It's much better to get the goal assist than a goal, in my opinion.
Montagna, he wants an assist to Rewald. Off his chest. Mackenzie keeps his feet. Brown.
I know the AFL like theme weeks, Dwayne, like Heritage Week. I didn't know they had a no free kick week.
I think the umpires in the last 2 rounds have had an allocation of about 4 per game each. It certainly has reduced. Brennan. Marston. Bump clear. Rosa attacked it. D'Alessandro. We're down to 1 minute and 20. Outside of the boot, but hunted forward by Stanley. That's another good grab from Brown.
Well, that was just to get it out of here. I am absolutely knackered from Reece Stanley. As soon as he kicked it, didn't run forward, put his hands on his hips. He has worked hard. He's got to take a leaf out of the book of his captain. You're going to play centre-half forward. It's a midfield position.
Kerr's had a good last 15 minutes too. He's coming up for disposal number 7. Very quiet last week against the Tigers. Beautiful kick.
Last chance
Cox is by himself in the pocket here, boys.
for this term. Rosa, now Cox has got 4 on him. He's got the reach. Crunched and wins a free.
Well picked up, Moons. That was magnificent play. I think he must have heard you there, Rosa Moons, because he was looking around for a target, then looked up and saw big Dean Cox.
Well, what happened was McAvoy saw that they got to take the mark. He came up to make the to try and man the mark, but he just left Cox all alone out the back, so it was a poor decision in the end.
Quick play on, and a clever play on from Cox. It was always going to be tough. Scott Selwood.
We just saw the replay there. Reece Stanley, he basically had to hit the ball. I know he's out of juice, Jared, you're right. It was just a clumsy effort to spoil the ball there. I know his work rate in the foreline's been good, but you don't give free kicks away late in games such as that.
We have talked about that a bit. You have to turn in the air in that situation. At least make it look as if your attention is the ball. Last kick of the quarter. And they have the momentum. Nat Nui was the fire starter. They've kicked the last 3 goals of this game, the West Coast Eagles. The Saints opened up with the first 4. 4-2-26. Plays 3-5-23. Back in as one of those teams that have to be looked at for a future improver, and where does North Melbourne go from here? And also at half-time, we'll have a long, hard look at this, and Nat Nui's influences a ruckman, even though he missed that one, and also spotlight on Nick Rewald at half-time, so stick around for that. But quarter time here, 4-2-26, plays 3-5-23.
Well, Jared, I thought that Scotty Waters had the advantage pre-game with the matchups. He put Stanley forward, and he had Clinton Jones on Luke Shuey, and they had the one-on-ones inside their forward 50. Then they got to 4 goals. Then John Worsfold said, enough's enough. Folded back Hearn and played the extra. And that forced Scotty Waters to play Milne or Sard, as you alluded to, on Hearn. Now, it's very hard as a half-forward to do both, because Milne kicked 2 goals early. Yeah,
it's not their natural game, and it's something that they're going to have to get better at if they're going to become serious AFL players. But they also had a lift. There's Maxie Hudson talking about how you do combat Nick Naitanui to Gwilt. It's a difficult job.
It is.
Particularly if players from the Eagles get the ball through the middle of the ground. I thought they also lifted, Spud. Some of their key players. Shuey lifted. Daniel Kerr lifted. Hearn, as you said, off the half-back line was excellent with some of his disposal.
Yeah, and Mitch Brown, I thought, was absolutely outstanding after a very shaky start. So we'll head down there to Cam Mooney with Coach Scotty Waters.
Scotty, you asked the boys at the start of the game, I'm sure, for a great, quick, hard fast start. That's what you got.
Yeah, look, I thought their work sort of inside 20 metres of the contest was where it needed to be. The challenge is to maintain that. We know Kerr, Prittis, Naitanui, Cox, they're class performers, so it's a good challenge for us.
What's the message to the boys down the forward line with Hearn, because he really got damaging there late in that first quarter?
Yeah, I reckon he got on some uncontested chain. We just didn't press in hard enough and soak up the extra numbers, so once we get it inside 50, we've got to make sure we press right in and apply pressure.
Thanks, Scotty.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, there's Shannon Hearn there, and as I said, Max Hutchin at quarter time spent a lot of time with James Gwilt, because he's, as you can see there, the height advantage that Naitanui and Cox have got him. He needs to guard the dangerous space.
Second term underway. Nat Nui, awesome as always in the ruck. Just knocks us straight down and couldn't quite affect the clearance. Scott Selwood tied up.
Got plenty of footy again in that first quarter, Selwood, as did Joe Montana for the Saints.
Beauty Selwood too. He went at 75% by foot, so he's using it well.
McAvoy, handball, went back to himself. Little flick back works.
Look at the throw.
Stephen, Meister, it's over his head. Brown helps Wilson out, makes it a 2-on-1, and that was accidental. And it wasn't on the floor.
Just brilliant word from Brown Spud. It would have made you take notice. There's the flick out the back, accidental flick, but they all count. But Brown came off his man to supply a 2-on-1.
No, he's really lifted Brown after a shaky start on Stanley.
Rewald, nice flick back. Brennan caught. Just must have touched his toe there. It actually count as a kick. Brennan lays a tackle. Nat Nui. Del Santo.
His experience there. Easy his young opponent under the ball.
20 players in front of him. Rewald can't get a run at this. Hearn normally holds those, and Armitage fights on well.
What do you think of Del Santo across that half back line, Spud?
No, I like it, Jared. I like it. I like Nick Del Santo. He's got great vision, but see Shannon Hearn then, his direct opponent has to lead to a dangerous space. If he's allowed to play that third extra in, they're in trouble, the Saints.
Nat Nui again. Scott Selwood. Good attack from both players there. Shepherd really had to wait and didn't really have anything to do but go low there. Shepherd and Donnell, just as hard a commitment.
Yeah, I thought it was a slide initially from Donnell, but he held his feet at the right time. I thought he slid in, but it was a good decision in the end by the umpire.
Meister down to Milne. Shuey got there first, got one for too high. 3-point lead to the Saints. If you join us late, they kicked the first 4 goals of this game. Donnell drops what he should have completed. Tied up, ball up.
Well done, boys.
West Coast Eagles have not led in this game so far. Cox doing some work. Stephen read it beautifully. Breaks free. Rewalt, can he get there in time? No, Wilson in the hole.
Yeah, they're going well. Wilson, Brennan and Hearn.
First round draft pick. Wilson can obviously play. I love his disposal though. He keeps hitting targets.
Pre-season, in fact. Pre-season draft in 2011. So as a 21-year-old, they're giving him some time. Been around a couple of seasons.
They're out here.
Prentice. He wants Shepherd. Time to steady. Shepherd gets a Shepherd and can't deliver.
No, that was too easy in the end, but the real win for the West Coast, the half-backs.
Just want to have a loose stoppage, Spud. Brennan's just going to have a look at the way Milne gets away from him. He's got to be better than that to be able to just get pushed out of that. He was lucky that Milne didn't run onto it.
He was lucky that Shuey was playing the gatekeeper to tackle Milne in the end.
Yeah, gatekeeper.
You need one of them, Jared.
Look out, Hill! Almost wrapped him up, just couldn't keep the ball in. Robertson took Wilt. Meister, right on the line. Good fist by McKenzie. Armitage in the right spot.
50 metres by himself forward. If they can get it, they can't.
McKenzie to Brown. And that's why they've got one extra around the ball. Butler, Cox feeds it all the way back. Wilson again. They're almost going back to Milne territory. Rewalt.
Oh, Milne's on.
He is. Armitage sees him and hits him.
There was no greater player in the competition to find space between the kicker and the goal square than Stephen Milne.
Look out. Plays on. Shit. No one on the line, and he misses.
Hit the post with it.
Ooh. Calm Scott Waters. I think his heart rate was racing, even though his face didn't tell you, and wants to make amends, Stephen Milne.
Well, he did, and I think that's great. That's a great example for anyone. When you make a mistake, you can really drop your head and think, yeah, I should have nailed that for my teammates, but he was in the game.
So does he play on quickly and do the same snap from here?
No, I don't think he will now, one. I think Scotty Waters will let him get away with it once.
Still think it's a toss of the coin.
It's not his forte, the long drop punt from here, is it?
He loves running around to get that angle on the ball.
He owed them one, and he gives them one. When he's on, he is a superstar, Stephen Milne.
Well, he's not a big man. He hasn't got huge power like a Dunstall who can run in straight lines. He has to get that old centripetal force going and run around the corner. They've been wrapping this bloke kicking up. That one he didn't hit. And it has cost them a goal. But if you play down there, your mistakes get amplified. And there's the really good work from Milne. And then he runs around, kicks the ball across his body to get that extra force and delivers.
Yeah, Scotty Waddles was happy with that. Look, the hit-outs there, like last week, Jared. West Coast Eagles 15 to St Kilda 8.
Yep.
But the Saints are winning the clearances 10 to 9. So they're really reading the West Coast Eagles run.
And that stops the West Coast Eagles' run of goals. Little 1-2 with Ross with Del Santo. Meister half forward, good hands in front of Brown.
He's working hard, Meister.
Sits it up. Rewalt can't get the run initially. Now he gets it.
Well done,
Crushed. Scott Selwood, arms free, wrapped up. Ray, stand start, bends it, not enough.
Yeah, you're spot on, Spud. Hearn came off his man and just did enough on Nick Rewalt to prevent him taking the mark.
McKenzie, Wilson, Rosa.
So you do a couple of things with Hearn then, if that's the case. You're actually playing right on the goal umpire's hat, and he probably won't go with you anyway, or you need a really smart forward to attract the ball. Because if you're playing on a half forward with Hearn and you lead into a dead area, he just won't go. He'll just double team the dangerous forward. In that occasion, it was Rewalt.
Hill, clever kick, found Embley to Darling. The Shepherd, he also owes them one, not clear.
No, really good push in the Saints. They've lifted to get their intensity, St Kilda.
Haven't seen them play like this for a few weeks. Trent Dennis Lane since the Carlton game here.
Well, the tackling's outstanding. 24 tackles to 15 at the moment. They just need to keep really put a lot of pressure on the West Coast Eagles ball carriers.
Trent Dennis Lane doing some circle work. Geary stands under it. That'll do.
You've got to get the word down to them, though, Spud. The Sard's the man, and they've got to go through him. They've got to start leading. He's got to start leading up through the middle of the ground a little bit and start tracking the ball and just getting 25, even a 20-metre kick, just to make Hearn accountable.
Aston, Kerr. It's just a kick for the sake of getting a kick. 10-point game.
Sam Donnell's doing a very good job on Andrew Gaff at the moment. Only 3 disposals to Gaff.
And Gaff has had some low possession games this year, but last week was his worst of the season. Just 13 possessions last week. Kerr, so he's out of form. Darling plays for 50.
Nui trying to find some space.
He's the bloke that can lift, though. He's such an enormous talent. He's only had one kick, that's his second, and one other handball. Just not finding any easy ball at the present time, Jack Darling.
Yeah, Josh Hill should have marked that though.
Still alive for the West Coast. Embley fumbled it away. Outside of the boot from Nunes. Big Fists crushes it out of play. And if you joined us late, we're with us from the start. If you're wondering why Josh Kennedy is not forward for the West Coast, he pulled out late. So Jamie Cripps in against his old team, the Saints. He's the sub. And Josh Kennedy is out, not playing this afternoon for the West Coast. McAvoy to Geary. A 2-on-1. Meister against the 2. Wilson and McKenzie. And they'll combine to get a couple of touches here. If it sits for McKenzie. Ross tried to corral him. Over the head of Shuey. Some space to use. Nunes. Oh, fumble. Ross.
Got to be better than that, Ross, just off that half-back line. Got to hit the target, but he's having a pretty good game. As is Donnell. Sam Donnell doing a good job on Andrew Gaff. Gaff needs to find some footage, but it's a hard go when you're being tagged and hard tagged like he has, but he's got to find a way.
Shuey just got a couple of disposals. With Clinton Jones, they'll be happy with that role at the moment too. He's only had the 7 disposals, Luke Shuey.
Butler takes it to the boundary. 100th game in his 10th season. Sam Butler, it's been a long time coming, so Saunders the sub and Cripps the sub. That was Cripps the sub for the West Coast, and Saunders a late in with Sard for the Saints. So 2 late changes for the Saints, 1 late change for the West Coast. Nat Nui, Maston, Prittis, Nunes.
He's been impressive as well, introducing young players, a number of them this year.
Dempster. And now open side, Donnell. Oh, spent that before it earned it.
He's been brilliant on Gaff, Donnell.
Meister.
Got a beautiful goal assist.
McAvoy.
Well, it's important to make Nat Nui accountable, McAvoy. That's good leading.
Montagna. Not sure that was 15. Ray didn't think it was. To Montagna to the pocket. Armitage down there. Kerr. That's a kick. Back into the congestion.
It's a tackle there. Need to be careful of that sling tackle there, David Armitage.
20 players around this ball up. Stephen feels for contact. No free. 10 points to margin. St Kilda has led from the outset. West Coast playing to get themselves back inside the top 8 tonight. They're outside the top 8 as we speak. This is huge. Both these teams have byes next week. They have to leave it all out here, right now.
Now, it's been a good start to this second quarter of St Kilda. They're winning the possessions, contested ball, the tackles, the inside 50. So, really good comeback from the Saints. It looked like West Coast Eagles are running over the top at the end of the first quarter.
Interesting move down here, guys. Rewalt's just decided to put himself behind the ball, whether it's just for this stoppage and then he pushes forward again, or whether it's for the next 5 minutes.
Stephen breaks free to Jones. Got the kick. You heard the call, of course, not 15. Maston. Adam Selwood. Webster. Is he within range? Puts it to the hot spot. Ray's going to have to jump here. Called into it. Shepherd. Dragged down.
No, this is good. St Kilda are owning the time inside the forward 50 at the start of this, halfway during this second quarter. It's been their tackling pressure. The ability to go one-on-one with Hearn too. They're really manning up that +1 now, the Saints.
You could throw a blanket around 20 of them here. Sard on the bottom of it and another ball up.
But it's on the back of first and second year players. I mean, Nunes is looking much better now in his second year at 7 games last year.
We just saw Hearn at full back, which was great. Trent Dennis-Lane is dragging him out of the area where he's really dangerous, Hearn.
Stephen was stripped of it. Little toe poke McKenzie works well. Marston. Selwood, Marston, Brennan.
Good pressure, but they've got out well here, the Eagles.
And he tight ropes the boundary line and gets it to Darling.
Well, that's a perfect bit of play for the Eagles. They're under extreme pressure there. That is good football. Great pressure from St Kilda, but well worked out by the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, it was a great kick along the boundary line as well. Webster also, Spud, doing pretty well. Donnell doing well.
Prentice, Scott Selwood, open forward line, couldn't get it away. Tackled by Jones, turnover.
Good game.
Stephen, Montagna, didn't need to give it back there, Robert, and bang! Brennan took him to the line, but it stays in. Del Santo squeezes it. McKenzie turned around, and he's back to it. Still a brilliant tackle. Rewalt given an enormous amount of time. Armitage came hard, ducked his head into Cox. Umpire put the whistle away, rightly so. Jones, kick smothered. Brennan dragged down. Rosa hunted. Ball up.
Oh, magnificent passage of footy. It doesn't look, it's fumbling, but look at the pressure here. Look at the tackle from Clint Jones. That's the work rate that St Kilda need to have for the whole game. McKenzie was amazing in one. You called it beautifully. He's back to play and then still able to tackle Rewalt.
8 free kicks for the game so far, and we're a quarter and a half in. They have certainly cut back on free kicks in the last couple of weeks.
That was great stoppage work, both by Kerr, who was in front, and Montagna, who was behind, who locked down on him.
Jones to Ray. Rewalt one-on-one. Over their heads. Rewalt might be first to feed back. Nunes gets there. Throws it in. Brown caught. McKenzie shows some poise.
Oh.
Did he duck into that high tackle? Umpire has a big call here.
The central umpire saw it, Brian, not the officiating umpire. I was weird initially. I thought he ducked into it.
Okay, and strangely enough, it's Adam Selwood ducking into the high tackle, as the Selwoods can do. The fans know it. Cox. Jones, nice crumb. Montagna. To the pocket, Adam Selwood. Milne. Saints fans thought Milne was jumped on illegally.
Well, that's a free kick. I mean, he's going to go the other way.
Well, they need to cash in here, the Saints, really, don't they? The last 10 minutes, they've owned the time in the forward half at 73%. So I think West Coast are doing really well to defend, but St Kilda are owning this game at the minute.
But for 8 weeks, the first 8 weeks, this is a free kick to the Eagles.
Yeah.
You're on your back.
Yeah, well, that is in the back.
Nunes hasn't kicked a goal all season. He's only got one for his career, and this is game 16. For a steadier. Missed to the short side.
Well, it was a high-scoring game in the first quarter. This quarter, it's 1 goal 3 for 1 point.
Yeah, it's the old Indian arm wrestle. Really tight round stoppages, really tight. St Kilda keeping the ball in their forward half pretty well just at the moment. So they give it to the main man with a big boot. That's a push.
Now, he rolls without being touched, but he played on from fullback. So is that, did he play on from fullback? Did he kick to himself or not? That's the call. If he didn't kick to himself.
Okay, sorry.
Touched anyway. Okay.
He was touched.
So Hearn didn't kick to himself.
No, he didn't run.
Good effort to get it all the way to the wing, though. And that's his forte. He's got a 15-1 kick to handball ratio, Hearn.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Maston White. Hams tunnelled a little. Umpires have found the whistle in the last few minutes, since we told you they haven't been finding the whistle. Prentice. Been a fantastic contest.
No, it has. West Coast have just lost a little bit of run, a little bit of drive, a little bit of dare that they had at the end of the first quarter.
Aston to Kerr.
Yeah, that was in the back.
Nunes just got his hands free. Fumble from Dal Santo, good enough to get it to Jones. Milne, legal use of the body, that's fair. And he's away, and he's got 3 to his name already. Dances his way around Brown, squeezes the kick, Meister. That is quality street, Stephen Milne.
Yeah, it was brilliant stuff from Milne. It was equally good from Meister, who worked hard to go one end of the ground, then came back up the middle, and, well, he read Stephen Milne like a book, and Milne duly delivered. All he needs to do now is go back and finish. I've liked his work rate. There's the block. And just watch, there's no one forward, so he needs to buy himself some time. Did a little bit of a shimmy and stuck it out right in front of Meister, who's in some form today, Spud.
He is. He's a great inclusion.
Can't slot it. West Coast fans breathe a sigh of relief. It's a 2-kick game.
Well, it's now 80%. They've owned the ball in the forward half the last 12 minutes in Kilda, yet it's 1 goal 3.
They found the P.
Wilson. Butler. Selwood. Gaff fell. Put himself under some pressure.
Hasn't had a touch this quarter, Gaff.
And Saad still can't find it.
Well played.
He's having a horror few weeks, Ahmed Saad. Back into the team after being dropped. So a late inclusion again, and Donnell slides into this.
And the Saints senior players are saying to him, just slow it up. Just pull it up. Down the line will do. We'll take a clearance. Knock this over the line.
Stanley.
Not that far over the line.
Yeah, the king efficiency's dropped off. Both teams are well over 75%, which is about 9% over the average. At the moment, Saints are going at 60%, Eagles 69%. So fatigue setting in as we near the end of the second quarter.
Butler, Wilson, Prentice. It's still half back. And that's a wide ball, very wide. Hill up. Just touched it.
You're right, Spud, about the Eagles. They just can't get their ball inside forward 50 at the present time. They've got a lot of quality players down there, Nat Nui and Darling and Hill. They're just not getting any exposure to the leather.
No, it's only been in 4 times for the quarter. and St Kilda have been 11 times for 1 goal won. That one goal was Stephen Milne 15 minutes ago.
90% inside their forward half in the last 10 minutes.
And yet it's been an astounding 15 minutes of football to watch.
It's been great.
Without a goal. Armitage kick grabbed by Ross, back to Armitage. Kept his feet, that was fantastic. Good balance. Dempster, Armitage runs past Hams with some style and then finds Roywald. Sensational. Farron Ray.
Just better read. Shannon Hearn read it best, but didn't grab it.
Gee, the umpire's paid that, has he?
Paid it.
My goodness.
Wow. He had initial control, but I just thought he then dropped the ball.
Did his arms get slapped in the process of marking?
I think he paid the free kicks, guys.
Okay, that's all right then.
Poor decision, but he paid it.
Poor decision. Well, if your arms get slapped, even if whilst you're fumbling the ball, that's still in the process of marking. Brown to Nat Nui, who hasn't seen it for a while. Jones. Shepherd wraps him. Farron Ray dragged that in. He's jumped on by Shuey. Umpire says that's a legal tackle, Shuey's ball.
This will be a relief buster if West Coast get a goal here.
Darling's at full forward. Hams and Robertson. Umpire's found a free, and it's Darling's ball. And he's not the crowd Darling right now, the umpire.
Well, I must admit, out of the corner of my eye, I did think it was a free. It was definitely... The ball was still in flight. It was only halfway through its trajectory. Here's that initial mark from Hearn. That wasn't a mark. Never controlled that whatsoever. So it's a let off for the Eagles. But this will really hurt St Kilda, Jerry, because they've owned the quarter, the Saints.
Well, here's the spots where Darling has kicked goals from this year. He doesn't get too many from the spot he's at the present time. He's got a good look at it, though.
Not difficult from there, surely. For a professional footballer, that must be kicked.
Well, he stabbed at it. It was funny, when you actually look at him kick the ball, he was actually looking at the goals, not the boot. He didn't spend a lot of time with his head over the boot and played with and against some of the greatest full forwards, Dunstall and Lockett. They didn't even know whether it went through the goals, Jerry, because they were watching the ball off the boot.
Rewalk, 23 goals, 17 for the season. There's Darling, and no Kennedy this afternoon. Saab.
Might have been the footy god Spud, seems to come on the back of the Shannon Hearn free kick.
Robertson. Ross, just in time. Jones floats it up. West Coast with the numbers. Shepherd waited for the bounce. Montagna attacks it, flicks it out. Milne might dob it from there. Goes to the central ball. Wilson.
I think he had the legs just running a little bit too fast there, Milne.
Cox.
Good.
Nat Nui can go. Feeds it off. Selwood, what was he doing?
He just saw the runner and just assumed it was a West Coast Eagles player.
Do you think Dempster called him? Do you think Dempster called for
I
him?
think he just saw someone running towards goal and just assumed it was West Coast Eagles.
It could cost them. Geary's found Armitage at half forward and he finds Trent Dennis Lane. And he is a sharpshooter.
A lot of players confused out there at the moment. You just have a look here. There's Nat Nui. He gives the initial handball.
He may have been blinded by McAvoy.
Just saw the runner.
Yep.
Just assumed it was a West Coast Eagles player.
15 gone.
Long run up for Trent Dennis Lane back into the Saints lineup this week. Saints gave Sydney pick 47 for him. Changed clubs, kept his number. Reliability hasn't been kept. Another behind.
You know, the goal scoring for both teams this quarter has been below par, especially St Kilda. 1 goal, 5 for 13 entries.
Hearn.
This is a good breakaway.
Mackenzie wants long. Cox is there on the wing for him. Hands it instead. Rosa taken to the line.
Yeah, the long kick was the option. Easy from up here. He, I think, was trapped between bouncing Dwayne and not bouncing and ended up going the short target.
And some players are criticised for having that early bounce. They don't run 15, they have a bounce about the first metre, but that does give you the opportunity to steady after that. McAvoy flicks it up. Ross, sidestep was good initially. That was a drop kick.
He actually got the boot on the ball.
He did. Rosa plays on wide to Darling. Gwilt gets there with a fist and then catches him high. Umpire says he ducked. Ball in.
Good decision. Really good defensive work from Gwilt. Just have a look here.
That's a drop kick.
Got the toe on it. That's actually an ineffective kick. It's a kick.
Prentice. Shuey goes to the hot spot. No one there for it. No one ready for it. And bang! That looked high. That looked ugly.
Yeah, it did.
And it looked like it hurt. Dempster gets up. He's okay. Play on Milne. Can Gallup has a paddock on the wing. Rewalt runs for him. Milne wants it back, you'd think. McAvoy's forward. Meister's forward. Stanley's forward. Meister's ball. Plays on and goals. Perfect fast break football from defence. Copybook.
Oh, it's brilliant rebound work from St Kilda. Once again, if it can hold the footy, maintain possession and move the ball quickly by foot, you can expose the side on the rebound. I like Josh Hill's work. He's working really hard at his pressure. There he goes again, trying to put it, drag the ball back. But Milne has worked up the ground. Have a look at Nick Rewalt charging up the ground. He's doing a lot of his work in this period of the ground right now. And that just again shows what a valuable player he is.
Now there's the chain there. It's magnificent play from the back half of St Kilda. The great running from Rewalt there. The beautiful vision to Meister. I know Meister kicked the goal, but Nick Rewalt opened up the void there.
And I know you're going to have a look at Nick Rewalt and the way he plays, but he seems to be doing a lot of work up on that centre wing and just doing the Ks like very few before him when you're that tall.
No, his work rate is absolutely outstanding at the moment. He hasn't hit the scoreboard, but he's created a lot of scoring opportunities for his teammates.
Donnell. Milne had a couple to beat. Hearn stood solid. Big minute that. Big moment in the last minute. Need to make sure they don't concede another one here, the West Coast. Cox. Butler. And now Wilston can go. They might be able to create a score. Sits it up for Darling. Has position 1A.
Perfect kick. Absolutely outstanding kick. Just the long kick to advantage there. He saw Robertson and kicked it to Darling's advantage.
Well, he gets an opportunity because Gwilt's on the bench, obviously having his rotation. Gwilt seems to have the pace and the strength to be able to go with Gwilt, but Robertson there had neither. And I think Scott Waters is filthy because just for a couple of minutes with 20 seconds to go, Jack Darling gets a chance.
What about the kick from Wilson in the middle of the ground?
He can go.
Magnificent. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good inclusion and game one's been spectacular. But this is huge. This is massive. And on the bell, that's a punch to the jaw. That's landed. They might be down on points, the West Coast Eagles, but they're in this fight. They want a spot in the top 8 tonight, and it's still on offer. The Saints don't control it by 12 points at the half. Don't go away. We'll be wrapping it up here shortly. St Kilda 6-7-43 to the West Coast, 4-7-31 at halftime.
Welcome back to Etihad Stadium. This is prior to the match. The man we're about to have a look at, Nick Rewalt, playing his 150th game as captain. His game begins at about 12 o'clock, Spud, when he starts his very prolonged warm-up.
Well, his warm-up, Jared, the forwards of Dunstall and Lockett wouldn't have went that far on their holidays. And as I said, he runs about 5 or 6 kilometres, then has a massage. And it's an amazing transformation to see Nick Rewalt. We thought about 18 months ago he's on the decline, but he's in career best form. He's the number 1 ranked forward in the competition. He's just an absolute superstar.
Yeah, and having a great year. His 150th game as captain today, but it is midway through a magnificent year for Nick Rewalt. He'll be heading towards, I think it's his 6th best and fairest now for St Kilda. Take us through those numbers, because the number 1 is there right up the top.
Well, he's ranked 1 in the AFL for marks, 2 for contested marks. The score's 29-12. Career best, 71% accuracy, which is a career high. Before that, he's gone about, it's 59%, which wasn't great, and he's really sealing the deal in front of goals. Just amazing. If the All-Australian captaincy would be picked now to be out of him, Selwood and Joe Watson, you'd think, and he would probably get the honours because of the elder statesman, you would think. And let's hopefully he can finish off the year, because last year he was in really good form and missed the last 3 or 4 games. But I've really been delighted with his work rate. He hasn't hit the scoreboard, but his work rate tonight's been great.
Have you seen his transition under Scott Waters as against how he played with Ross Lyon?
Yeah, I think he's getting a little bit more closer to goal. As we saw the accuracy there, he's marking the ball more in front of goal. This is 2009 here with under Ross Lyon, obviously, and the yellow being a lot of his possessions. He gets a lot up around the logos, and then he would work hard back. So that... And here's 2012. So under Scotty Waters, he's working up a little bit more, but he's getting more ball where it counts. And that's why his accuracy has really improved. So as a defender, it's super hard to defend against him. You want to make sure this year here, you don't want him to get those marks in front of goal. Happy with the ones around the logo. I think Mackenzie's done quite well to allow Nick Riewoldt to get these ones here up around the Toyota logo, but not the ones in front of goal. So as a defender, it'll be interesting to see how Mackenzie goes. We've had commentator Cam today, Jared, which has been absolutely outstanding. So this was early in the game, and you can see Mackenzie there going at the ball, and Nick Riewoldt just having a look around. And the thing about Riewoldt, he's hard to defend against because he never stops moving. He never stops moving, and he reads the play well because he knew the Saints needed an exit there.
Yeah, what I like about Nick Riewoldt and always have is he follows up his first effort with his second effort. He doesn't stop and put his hands on his hip. He is charging down to the ground, and he will no doubt get involved once again.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt here he would have got the ball, but St Kilda kicked the goal, which is great, because what it did, it allowed the defenders there to work through, and of course, he's so hard to defend against. You know, have a look here. It was only that it was a good defensive work here, and we see him just the double leads as a defender. Impossible to defend against because he never stops moving. He doesn't give you a starting point. And it was only that Hearn and Nick Wilson then got behind the ball to outmark Nick Riewoldt again. And just see here again, Mackenzie's trying to get a strong starting point on Riewoldt, but he never stops moving. I think it's great footage there, great vision. And this is Hearn. Riewoldt would have marked this, only the great defensive work from Hearn. So great education there as a defender. It's hard to get a starting point because when you're playing a key forward, you get a strong starting point. You can't on Nick Riewoldt.
Yes, but he's yet to kick a goal. Spud, who wins?
I think St Kilda do, because I think the work rate of him there, Eric Mackenzie's got his hands full, because we know the second halves of Riewoldt did really lift.
Saints lead by 12 points at half-time. We'll come back with the second half and Dwayne Russell to pick up the action.
And welcome back to Etihad Stadium. We're at St Kilda by 12 points over the West Coast Eagles. And look, Scotty Waters asked for a tremendous start from their boys this week. He wanted a fast start. He wanted a quick start. He wanted them to be aggressive. They're winning the contested ball. They're winning the clearances. They're winning all the key indicators right now. And they are being led by their old boys. It's being Riewoldt who's leading up through the middle of the ground. It's Del Santo off the half-back line. And it's Milne with 3 goals, but more importantly, Joey Montagna through the middle of the ground. He's had 17 possessions. His work rate has been absolutely phenomenal. It's the Joey of old. He's running through the middle. He's linking up. He's getting the short kicks. He's getting the handball back. He's getting inside 50s. His work rate has been absolutely phenomenal. And boys, I'll tell you what, if they keep this work rate up, I'm tipping a little bit of upset here. I think the Saints could get home.
No, I think you're right, Burns. I think the fact in that second quarter, Jared, Daniel Kerr only had the 2 disposals, Gaff 1. You would think they'd be the 2 players that really do need to lift for West Coast to get into the game, the run. You have a look at the players that are missing in both teams. You've got Fisher, Hayes, Gilbert, Schneider for St Kilda. For the West Coast, Lacroix, Wellingham hasn't played much. All-Australian captain Glass, Schofield, Waters, and of course Josh Kennedy, a late withdrawal today with a calf injury.
Yes, there's a lot of names there missing for both sides, but I think the Eagles' structure has been hit the worst, and Lenny Hayes is a key out. But their midfield's going quite well at the present time, the Saints, but no Glass. I think you said he's like the Australian wicket-keeper at this stage. Spud, he's a big omission, but Waters off that half-back line. For some reason, I believe that he is just such a pivotal out because he launches so many attacks, and their midfield just not kicking the goals this year that they were this time last year.
Nat Nui as the second half starts brilliantly for Nat Nui and Shuey. The half forward, Darling gets there. Adam Selwood. Gaff tries to peel onto it. Taken to the line. 12-point margin right now. The Saints lead by 2 goals, and if you haven't been with us from the outset, they have led from the outset.
Yeah, there's Mitch Brown on Nick Riewoldt. Mackenzie played on Riewoldt the first half, so they've changed a change up at half-time with Brown onto Riewoldt, which is a great coaching from Worsfold because the running ability of Riewoldt early in that first half.
Stephen jumped on. ball up.
I suppose you mentioned Daniel Kerr. They had a huge lift out of him. Had a good first quarter, but along with Gaff and Shuey, just quieting down in that second term.
You mentioned Kerr, Jared. Here we go. We've got a free kick on cue for you. He knows he's not close enough to have a shot. Squeezes the kick inside 50. Nunes gets there in front of Hearn. Hits the deck. Good work by Donnell. Jones, kick smothered. Ricochets. Donnell straight through him. Crazy scramble. Armitage gets it. Webster. Robertson. Back to Armitage. Weaves some magic. Finds some room. Heads toward Milne. Almost cut off by McKenzie. Slaps it out. Butler. He tried to don't argue on Milne. Got away with it. Milne thought it was a free.
No, good pressure from St Kilda. Their tackling pressure in the first half was really good. 36 tackles to 25 the first half, the Saints' way.
Stephen Milne, a 3-goal first half. Lee Montagna, a 16 possession first half. Shuey to Scott Selwood.
We had a little bit more time than he thought then, Dwayne. He's played an extremely good game. Selwood, 17 disposals, but he wouldn't be happy with that effort. Oh, this is not great either.
Oh, big danger for Dempster now.
Yeah.
He can rush that legitimately. Darling was close enough too. Darling almost had to stay 10 metres away and hope he rushed it to get a free.
Have a look at Clint Jones here. He's saying, "Where's my man? Where is Shuey?" And all of a sudden, there he bobbed up.
Stephen. Geary. Just the required 15 to Donnell.
Has been outstanding. I know that Donnell's got a little bit of the ball late, but the beauty is he's playing on Gaff, who's only had 4.
Brown, front spot, straight through him. Wilson in game one's been good. Almost wins a free. Rewald puts it into the park. And it's hurt Wilson.
Yeah, he's holding his right hand there, wrist.
And he may have to come off. Of course, the son of former Waffle star Dean Wilson, and he's been outstanding. His ball use has been spectacular. He'll be a big loss. Jamie Cripps is the West Coast Eagles sub. They may have to use him. Wilson in the middle of this. Brennan to Wembley in that little congested area. Good use of the body, Stephen. Pulled it from him. Caused the turnover. Del Santo. Trent Dennis Lane. Montagna. Meister. Good pluck.
Stanley 3.
Rewald maybe within range.
He's got Stanley on her now. Just get it to the top of the square.
Yeah, I'm with you, Spud, but he's going to have a ping.
He needs to kick it now because now Cox has dropped back into the hole. It'll take his very best kick there from Nick. He's capable of kicking it.
20 gone.
Hasn't kicked one so far today. Hasn't kicked a score so far today. Long to the square. It's all the way. Cox touched it on the line. Oh, no one else, maybe Nat Nui.
Keep coming.
But that was with millimetres to spare.
Well, the umpire's in the best spot. Looked like it was nearly through for It's not a great kick. Great decision.
Well, they elected not to review it. Ross back inside 50. Hearn dragged down. Pretty good tackle from Milne, although the umpire says back.
Yeah, and then that's what... Look, players are so good at dropping the knees now. It was definitely in the back. I don't know what Milne's carrying on for because it was in the back. It's as simple as that. Because Hearn sensed the tackle to drop his knees. What you've got to do as a tackler is try and turn the hips before you drop.
They're under some pressure here, the Eagles. Some of their exit kicks have been really poor compared to, in particular, the first quarter.
It's been an outstanding contest. It's low scoring, but so tight. It's almost been finals-like. West Coast still a finals contender. The Saints, of course, not. They're out of contention. Darling.
I think this is better for Darling. He seems to work a lot better when he's allowed to free up and go up on the wing. Once again, really, really low percentage kick, but he made it work.
Well, I think you're right with Darling, Jared. I think the Kennedy factors allow Darling to play that natural role, and they were trying to play him deep into goal, but it's not his natural game, so you've actually got to give him his head.
Gaff went to Wembley. It's wide. Shuey. Fantastic use of the body. Back to Wembley. Stand, start, kick. Top of the square.
This bloke's been really good.
Donnell. Stanley. Got a hand on it. Dragged down by Wilson. Searches for the boundary. Doesn't find it. Milne. Stanley and Robertson both there. Ignored. Robertson goes inboard. Ray.
Dangerous kick.
Had his arm pulled down there. umpire lets it roll.
Danny, I'm not sure how long you persist with Embley playing as that forward, but I mean, Josh Hill to me is a more natural full forward. Embley, it's worked before, but he's just not getting near the ball. And maybe they could do with his run up in the middle of the ground.
No, I'm with you, Jared, because I think late in your career it's very hard to play as a forward.
Del Santo plays onto advantage. Riewoldt is free. He's got 10 metres on McKenzie, who's slipped. Ugly bounce. Shepherd lends a hand. Get out of a spot of bother.
And go inboard here.
Scott Selwood.
Here's Cox through the middle of the ground. Oh, he's missed him.
Prentice, Cox still lurking.
Yeah, it's a free kick against Stephen Milne.
50-metre penalty.
Right, I saw it. Hearn was trying to get the handball received, and Stephen Milne was trying to play the defensive role. Have a look. There's Milne there. Hang on to Hearn. Great vision there from the cameraman. Well, that's disappointing. Well, it is, because he did hold him one. I think there's no doubt he was trying to guard him, but he actually just for half a second held his jumper.
Well, clearly, Peter's not overly confident in front of the sticks, and he's sent it over to Andrew Embley, who has had much of it, but he's over his career been a pretty reliable goal kicker.
Takes a breath, knows how important this is. Just his 5th game of 2013, Andrew Embley. To the Blues. To make it a 1-kick game. What pressure. Top shelf from Andrew Embley.
Well, that's his 2nd goal, so right now he's delivering for his coach, but the coach needs a few others, Spud, to actually fire up here. Chewy in particular, Prentice, Kerr, they're the go-getters. They are the starters, and speaking of which, there are the ruckmen. They need the lift here. Their season on the line right now.
Absolutely 100% correct weight, Jared. Season on the line. Gaff, Hill, Darling, Selwood, they really need the lift. Need to get back-to-back goals for their confidence.
John Worsfold knows the West Coast Eagles can head to the bye, 6 wins, 5 losses, and inside the 8. They do have a tough run coming, their next 5, but at least they're going to be inside the 8 if they win this at the halfway mark. This is huge for them. Armitage takes off. Crowd roar. Rare free for the Saints. Pumps into the goal square. Can Riewoldt get a run? Trent Dennis-Lane got there. Wilson cut it off. Gave to McKenzie. Hill stands under it. Robertson. Good leap. Hill keeps his feet. Hearn taken to the line.
Yeah, Robertson really good. You just see Robertson there, just the groin. Hope he's okay. He's just jogging there at the bottom of the screen. Hearn.
He's been stretching that Robertson for a good half an hour.
Well, they can't afford to let another defender go down. I tell you what, though, Reece Stanley, I remember him going one-on-one against Nat Nui in a Nat Cup game pre-season. It's the only bloke I've seen compete with him in the jumping department.
Del Santo, Dempster, Nunes.
Good run, Farron Ray.
And he can gather and go.
Stanley working really hard. He's making Nat Nui accountable here.
Jones to Milne. Just buffeted out of it by Butler.
Yeah, really good.
And then gave a free kick almost to Butler. Unlucky Butler. Nunes got it from Jones. Riewoldt and Meister both there. Wilson in the right spot, front and square, dragged down, no prior opportunity, ball up.
Tough football. There's some hard tackles out there tonight. It's been absolutely magnificent.
Stanley being asked to work and work harder than he has for a long time.
Natnu with the reach. Wilson squeezed it out. Maston threw it away. Webster to Ray. Didn't know Hill was there. Turnover. Kerr.
Great run, Embley.
Embley takes the mark and gathers and realises he's got Selwood ahead. Darling works to full forward. Adam Selwood's got a one-on-one. Just needs to put an advantage side, and he does to the square. Darling almost a chest mark.
Gee, that was well done by Dempster.
Brilliant.
Not to give
Still alive though.
Not to give a free kick away there. That's one of the best defensive halves you'll see.
That was better than well done, Spud. Darling had the whole 50, as you know, as a forward. You've got the whole 50 to yourself. You can go any which way. That was an amazing defensive effort there from Dempster.
Well, you know, as a forward as well, Mearns, you thought you've got the defender beaten cold, and then he just brings the ball to the ground. It actually sows the seed of doubt in Darling, doesn't it?
Special comments from three-time premiership star Cameron Mooney on the boundary. 1988 Brownlow medalist Gerard Healy with us, and Danny Frawley. The most games ever as St Kilda captain, and Nick Riewoldt plays game 150 as Saints captain today. He's about to pass you in about a year, Spud. He's been one of the all-time greats, has Nick Riewoldt.
No, he certainly has, Dwayne. There's one guy there, Nick Riewoldt. As I said, I think he drives a Merc, I drive a Ute. That's probably about the best way to describe the two captains.
Great to be here broadcasting this game with you. What a fantastic contest it's been. Ray to Trent Dennis-Lane.
The Montagne's on if he can find him.
Ignores Riewoldt. He goes longer. Montagne, can he jump on Riewoldt's head? Riewoldt anyway, on cue.
On cue, Dwayne. Absolutely magnificent. And we saw that from the day he played his first game, Nick Riewoldt win the contested ball.
Well, it's just good work from the stoppage. Here's Nick Riewoldt going back. Nice use of the body. And takes a great mark. But it came back from the stoppage where Cox had the ball, had the front position, and yet, unfortunately for him, he hit it defensively, and there were two Saints blokes going there. There is the list, the most games as St Kilda captain.
You'll hear the roar. He's their five-time best and fairest. On that score, he's the greatest they've ever had.
It's magnificent. We saw the footage at half-time, Dwayne, of the work rate of Nick Riewoldt, and we said at some stage that work rate is really going to help. Have a look at this here. You just see the work. They get the ball through. It's just a magnificent passage of play. But look at Mitch Brown trying to get a starting point on Riewoldt. He leads once, twice, three times. Impossible to defend against as a forward such as him because he doesn't give you a starting point at all. Great play, great mark, great finish.
And they've got some problems at West Coast with their dominance. The hit-outs, they're 35-13, and yet we just saw there the clearance go the way of St Kilda after Cox had the clearance. I think he fell victim to a really shallow bounce. Kerr out of position. This is where they need to find their mojo.
Natanui, Pritis, Shuey. It was perfection from the middle, and then marked by Donnell, backing back with the flight.
He's been outstanding, Donnell. Because the fact is he's kept Gaff to 5 disposals, one of their best runners, West Coast Eagles.
McAvoy puts that giant hand on leather and rakes it in.
Well, the two inches in Kilda, Jones and Donnell, playing great defensive roles on Shuey and Gaff.
I think at the moment their selection has been spot on. Scott Waters, if he can grab the 4 points here, this will be one of his finals victories. He's gone in with pace, he's dropped Tom Hickey, he's rebalanced up. Obviously, he's been aided and abetted by a couple of late omissions from the Eagles, but he's got this side on the back of a shocking loss, playing really good footy. But they've got to get across the line.
Embley high to half forward. Good mark, Adam Selwood plays on to Pritis immediately. Darling turned around in the contest, and the ball wasn't his advantage anyway, and Dempster takes it to the line.
I know that Pritis is trying to make the play, but he knew that Armitage was right on him, so the kick was always going to be scrappy going forward. But at least he's trying to make the play for his turn.
Cox, pull it out of the air. That's probably ball. He took that out of the ruck contest.
Beautifully called, Wayne. Again, the hit-outs, West Coast favour, obviously 37-13. And the Saints are evening in the clearances 22 all.
Brennan, big thump across the boundary where Cameron Mooney is.
Well, Dwayne, the big stuff for me today is West Coast. They average 72 tackles a game. They've only had 26 for the game so far. When you look at St Kilda, they've had 43. And to me, it's Armitage is leading the way. He's had 10 personal tackles.
Cox to Rosa. That was copybook. Gee, Darling was crunched there in that marking contest and jumped on. No free. Ball up.
No, I'm with you. You can see Darling asked the umpire, Dwayne. I actually thought it was in the back in the end as well. Have a look.
It was grabbed. He was jumped on.
Yeah, no, that's a free kick. That was even a free kick in the 80s.
It was. 1880s. Scott Selwood gets it back again almost. Dalsado gets there first. Nunes kept his feet. Clever flick. Armitage on the run. No one to go to by foot. Gives to Geary to Meister. Open forward line ahead.
I'm not too sure this is working for the Eagles, Danny, having Hearn running with Meister. It means that he's so accountable, he can't fade off.
Jones, the crumb. Trent Dennis-Lane, the pocket.
Oh, there's Clinton Jones, as we talked about. He's more than held his own on Shuey, and then he just works the ball forward.
He was saying his praises earlier, Trent Dennis Lane, about his goal kicking, that he let the team down. This is to punch it out past 2 goals, and it hasn't been there for a while. Certainly not in this third term. They did lead this game by 24 points by kicking the first 4 goals of the game, St Kilda. Pivotal moment here. And he slots it.
Well, they are going to be hard to stop, the Saints. They have got a sniff. John Worsfold knows he needs a massive lift out of some of his senior players, some of his younger players across the board. In fact, Clint Jones has been given a big job on Shuey. He has delivered to date. And that one around the corner has set up Dennis Lane to do his job, and he's been able to do it.
Here's the chain with St Kilda players there. It was a beautiful run of the ball here. They kicked the ball long. As I said, Clinton Jones worked extremely hard to get the ball here in the flank, then kicked it to Trent Dennis Lane. But the thing is, the Eagles cannot hold the ball inside their forward 50 at the moment. They used to own the time in the forward 50. This year, before last week's round, they were ranked 3, but St Kilda done extremely well running the ball out.
Prentice free. Scott Selwood back with the fly. Dempster left his man down to Stephen, to Montagna. Caught but kicks. Milne, hard contest. Shepherd, brilliant. Kick needs to be good. Heads wide. Both Selwoods there, thumped away. Boundary.
Danny, this is a great game of footy. We've seen some fantastic performances. That was great courage from Shepherd. Absolutely magnificent coming through. It was only a spoil, but it took enormous courage.
Nat Nui back to Kerr. Montagna on hands and knees. Scott Selwood feeling for a high. Webster gets a high.
No, he's been really good, Jimmy Webster. He's just growing in stature.
To Robertson.
It's hard to believe he's only played 5 games. This is his 5th game, Jimmy Webster, for the Saints.
And a rare full game for Jimmy Webster. He's been the sub the majority of the time that he's been playing in the ones.
Embley working hard up in the middle of the ground now. He's been on it.
Turnover, Montagna. And here they go on the rebound. He's got no one to go too long. Sees that now. He's only got Trent Dennis Lane short. Saad works for him. In front of Saad. Hasn't been a big day. Needs to make it his moment. Gathers. Gives. Stand start, Montagna. Miss.
No, he's played extremely well, Lee Montagna. Great follow-up there. 20 disposals to the 4 tackles.
Ball should never have gone to ground though, Spud. Had to hit the target. It worked hard. Should have been a pop shot.
A lot of game left in this for the West Coast Eagles. It is a must-win. They're outside the 8 right now. They lose this. Their whole 2013's in disarray. Brown can't trap it. Nunes gets there first. Slaps. They can smell more blood here, the Saints. Ray and Stephen a 1-2. Armitage. Turnover.
Gee, the turnover is killing both clubs at the present time. Meister have done really well to get off his man.
You got Nick Rue one-on-one on top of the square, and you like to go short.
Butler to Brown. Scott Selwood, arms free. Little 1-2 with Wilson. Kerr.
No target forward though.
Now Darling gets back into the space.
Did well.
And maybe within range.
Cox is deep. He's one out against Quilt, backing him. He wants to be backed in. He's calling. He's gesticulating. And now he's...
no, you just need to kick the ball in. That's why they're there, Jared. Cox and Nat Nui. If they're there for a reason, for the long kick.
I think Darling, he fancies himself. As we showed earlier, he hasn't kicked any goals on this side of the ground or this angle.
From outside 50, he strikes it well.
Wow.
It's long, it's strong, it's majestic. It's a 2-goal game.
That's what I've always liked about Jack Darling. He's never, ever shied away from taking responsibility, and he did there. As I said, hasn't kicked any from that angle this year. And yet this time he goes back, and when his club absolutely desperately needed one, he was able to deliver.
And he's played his natural game, up the ground. And I think that John Worsfold has looked at that setup in the first half in deep. Get up around the ground, get the touch and feel of the footy, and your confidence will grow.
There he is, Darling, up the ground. Nat Nui in the goal square. Cox's last 2 stoppage taps have been absolutely A-grade. Needs to be neutralised here by McAvoy.
Early jump, McAvoy. Kerr has been good. Prittis. Hands edged out of it by Donnell, who's searching for the line. Keeps his feet. Jones, we put Jones under some pressure. Armitage. They're all getting back to lend a hand. Del Santo. Wilt. Last line of defence, but he's got the outlet, Dempster. Showing poise at every turn, the Saints. Stanley from 3 deep. Milne, fantastic run. Drives it to Meister. Montagne's running. Sard's running. Rewalt. He can get and run.
Now the Eagles midfield have got to push down hard there. Not doing it quick enough.
Into the spot to McAvoy.
Well, Dean Cox should have been aware of that.
He's really, Martin Younes.
I look at Dean Cox, and Rewalt was already up the ground, so there wasn't a really strong forward to go to, and he looked up and saw McAvoy get the 45, but it was too late then. Just opened up the leg rope too far then. He just had to play probably a cricket pitch away from McAvoy, and then if he was used, he could defend him. You see there the Rewalt there in the space McAvoy had, and Dean Cox was the left of screen there about 30 metres away.
Had a shot earlier and missed. Still hasn't kicked one this year. And still hasn't kicked one this year. West Coast Eagles have not led in this game. The Saints have led from the outset, and yet they've been in it the whole time, the West Coast.
Yeah, well, since quarter time, the Saints have been in 25 times to 18, yet they've only kicked 4 goals, 8 to West Coast Eagles, 3 goals, 4.
Hurd to himself, runs the 15, drives it long to Darling, flicks it down to Shuey. Pursued by Dempster. Rewards Darling, the 1-2. Jones hunts him down and he shrugs him. Adam Selwood.
He loves his left foot, Shuey, but you can see why.
Puts it up for Hill. The shimmy from Hill. Then he goes to ground. Del Santo helps Gwilt out.
All he had to do was hold his feet then, Josh Hill, and he marks the ball. And it was great defence by Gwilt, but just that, you've got to find a way to hold your feet under pressure. Just to see that, he just takes another step and be strong in his legs. He marks that.
6th possession, goalless afternoon for Hill so far. Armitage. Good use of the body by Brennan. Milne. Brennan. Deliberate but disguised.
Yeah, beautifully disguised, as all defenders try and do that at some stage.
Captivating contest between these two. It's hard to believe on this form that the Saints have only won 2 games all year. Gaff dragged down. Umpire waits.
Now, they've been competitive in a lot of games. We saw them over in Wellington, Jared, though.
Yep.
Very competitive against one of the better teams in the competition in Sydney, Collingwood. Just haven't been able to seal the deal of late.
Montagna. Del Santo.
You've got numbers in the middle.
Sold that beautifully. Flicks it to Dennis Lane. Meister's over the top. Rewalt's in the square.
Well, Meister's 1-on-1 against Gaff now. They've done a quick switch.
To the pocket to Meister. Now he's a 1-on-2. Waited too long.
Well done to Hurd.
Yeah, well done, Shannon Hurd. He read it beautifully because he looked at Rewalt and thought, well, I don't know the kid's going to be able to get the Rewalt. The dangerous target.
Too high, free to Prittis. No advantage for the play on. And a huge 2.5 minutes coming up here to 3/4 time. Wilson.
Shuey's really lifted this quarter, 8 disposals, 3 inside 50s.
Gaff coming off. Kerr on. Brown on.
Hearn driving kick to Brennan. He's got McKenzie on the open side. Rewalt chucks him down. Hill wants it long in a 1-on-1 with Geary. Good fly from Selwood, but Webster held his ground. Kick not so good.
Cameron, looks like they've put Brown forward. The West Coast Eagles looking for another target.
Well, I reckon he's just ducked down there, Jared. You can just see him now. He's just sneaking in, but as a true backman. He didn't quite know where to run.
Darling! Use of the body illegal according to the umpire. There was no hands used. He felt for contact. Looked like the stronger man won, but blessed are the meek so often. Hard to believe. Robertson. Rewald attacks that contest. Shuey, and that free continues to frustrate fans. Brown wide. Maston to McKenzie. Out on the full.
Moons, is it time West Coast Eagles?
Here it is again.
Yeah, look at this.
It's just superior strength.
That's just a good mark. That's
just a bad decision.
It's a very ordinary decision. But Moons, Cripps for West Coast. Is it time they sub him in and maybe a Gaff who's getting tagged out of the game, bring some more run on for the West Coast Eagles?
Well, Spud, Crisp is actually coming on. The sub's been made and it's Hams. He's the one that's coming off. So the sub's been made for West Coast, guys.
He hasn't been able to get into it, Hams, at all. He's only touched it half a dozen times.
G. Brennan can gallop here. Had some space. McKenzie. So this is rare.
No, that was a really good kick. It looked like it was going to be a 50-50, but when you have a look at the matchup, Jones and McKenzie was actually a great option.
And this is a massive kick in the contest of this game and the finals chances of the West Coast. Seconds ticking down to three-quarter time. Eric McKenzie hasn't kicked a goal all year. He's kicked one goal in 88 games.
Make that two.
He should move forward more often. That was poetry.
Never looked like missing. It just went straight over the goal umpire's hat. That is a big, big goal. I think the West Coast Eagles got a goal just before half-time that Scotty Waters wasn't too happy with. Here's Jacob Brennan. That was a really good option. It was short to 50-50, but the 50-50 was McKenzie and Clint Jones. But have a look at the ball drop was magnificent. The follow-through, straight over the goal umpire's hat. It's game on again now. I thought 10 minutes ago the West Coast Eagles season were on the line. They're in it.
Well, they've got the height advantage now, the Saints. They've pushed all their tools forward. Again, Reece Stanley ends up on a fairly much shorter player. Unless they alter that, it looks like they have. But they need a big lift here out of Nat Nui in this last quarter if they get across the line.
Brennan tied up. The seconds continue to roll. We're down to 30. Massive players around this ball up. Nat Nui. West Coast want to take some momentum in to three-quarter time, even if they don't take the lead in. The Saints will lead at the last change.
But not dissimilar this game to the one in Wellington against the Swans, and yet they walked away with basically nothing. They've got to just go one better here, the Saints, and grab 4 points to keep their season alive.
Saab, this is big. Sidestep. Hasn't seen it all day. Makes it his moment.
Oh, that's a huge goal. A huge goal. Missed tackle there. It was great play. He's been a little bit fumbly tonight, but he wasn't on that occasion. He steeled himself for the contest. You just see the quick kick forward. A bit of a scrimmage there. But have a look at the clean hands at ground level. And then the missed tackle. That was strong through the hips. And then he just sides it up beautifully. I think once he knew he broke the tackle, it was only a matter of how accurate the kick was going to be. And have a look at the excitement. That is a big goal with 5 seconds to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, good centre clearance from the Saints. No more time now. And John Worsfold on the boundary line thinking, well, they've grabbed that goal back. And couldn't believe that they conceded one so late in the term.
Three-quarter time, siren will sound here. Not time enough for any further scores. John Worsfold. He knows his team's chances of playing finals in 2013 might hinge on the next 30 minutes of football. Don't go far. The Saints by 13.
West Coast will finish on top of the AFL ladder.
West Coast, they'll finish second just behind Hawthorn.
West Coast, top 2 or 3.
We'll play in the grand final.
West Coast have got finishing on top.
West Coast Eagles are ready. They'll be nearly invincible at home.
Great team, second.
I think they're a real flag contender.
West Coast will finish on top.
West Coast will finish second.
West Coast first.
The West Coast Eagles, I've got finishing on top of the ladder.
West Coast on top, 19 wins.
Some so-called experts might look fools at the end of this one. The West Coast Eagles hoping to play their way inside the top 8. You can see percentage-wise they can push their way up to 7th. Collingwood, of course, still to play tomorrow, and a couple of teams with the bye this round. But this is huge for the West Coast. They lose this, they're not in the 8, and they've got this to come. Now, it says next 3, but when you look at their draw beyond this, the bye, and then Hawthorn, Essendon, Adelaide, and then Fremantle, and then Sydney. So the next 5, it's a massive run.
We just saw John Worsfold there, Dwayne, spending a lot of time with all the players. Jared, normally they split into 3 groups, so we'll just head down to Cameron Mooney at ground level.
Yeah, guys, look, you saw there what the kind of run they've got to coming home. It's a very hard one. Look, I'm putting the pressure on here on Cox, Naitanui, Kerr and Gaff. Look at Kerr, he's had the 16 possessions, Cox he's had the 11, Natanui's had the 9, and Gaff's the one. He's their running player. He's the one that needs to get on the end of some ball. He's only had the 5 possessions. They want to play top 4 this year, or even, God, right now, if they want to play finals football, these are the 4 guys that really need to step up for this quarter to get them home.
Yes, it's interesting with Gaff. He's had this issue all year, and at this stage, Spud, I think they're going to have to give him a positional change. Small forward is the only other option for him. He's going to start on the bench, but there's no point asking him to do the same thing, St Kilda do the same thing, and expect a different outcome.
Yeah, well, Sam Donnell's done a very good job on Gaff. Outstanding.
About to hit the halfway mark of the season for these 2 teams. 30 minutes of football and 2 weeks to get over it with the bye. Final term underway. Immediately down to Dal Santo. Heads wide, almost stolen by Hearn. Shuey flicks it back. Pritis falls. Scott Selwood to the hot spot. Darling can't get near it again. He was wrestled off it legally, according to the umpire. And Gwilt takes it to the line in front of Jamie Cripps.
And he is saying, Jack Darling, any chance, umpire?
By the same token, Jerry, we can see why Sean Dempsey was All-Australian half-back last year. His body strength is outstanding, Shawnee Dempsey. Yeah, he doesn't get beaten very rarely one-on-one.
Cox was held, I think.
Oh,
he was. And this is big for momentum.
Well, Stanley's in the ruck, so he's always had a strength advantage on Stanley. Just have a look at the...
It's been a little wobbly in front of goal this year. Dean Cox, he's kicked 8 goals, 10, so he's worse than 50-50. But at his best, he'll nail this. And that's a massive shot in the arm for the West Coast Eagles.
Well, the Saints have got a few skeletons in their closet. They've only won 2 last quarters this season. I know they've only won 2 games, but they were in front on 2 other occasions. Once against the Suns and once against the Dogs, and have conceded losses.
Well, Reece Stanley there, it was definitely a free kick, and he's gone into the middle, so McAvoy's starting forward. Not sure how long he'll start forward if Stanley keeps giving free kicks like that away.
And guys, don't you just love it when you put someone under the pump and they come out and just do something beautiful like that? But just quickly, St Kilda have made their sub 2. Saunders is on with Webster, has come on and got the red vest.
And Gaff also has come on and snuck on to into the middle of the ground without a tag, but he's got to get the ball quickly before he gets the lock on.
So Cox the goal, and then the perfect palm to Pritis for the clearance. They've got some momentum right here. Shuey, Marston, back to Shuey, Rosa. Suddenly the West Coast believe. Robertson gets there. Spectacular grab.
Beautiful grab. I'm not sure how long Reece Stanley will stay in the middle though, Jared. He's been really dangerous as a forward. McAvoy at full forward. I'll be making the change pretty quickly.
Meister beaten by the first game of Wilson to Shepherd. Not 15. Now that's probably ball if he's dropped it.
The ball.
He had prior. He had 3 calls of play on. That was his prior.
And now he's got Robinson's got the free kick off the ball.
So you're allowed to do that. Just make out you're deaf.
Just look dumbfounded.
Yeah. Robert. Saints have had a few lucky breaks in this game, but they only lead by 7 points. McAvoy Milne started spectacularly, being hunted down by Brennan. He steps him, kicks inboard. Rewald runs onto it. It's a trickler, a tumbler, and he can't hit it. Bizarre.
It was magnificent play. That was the best running I've seen from Rewald. We talked about it pre-game. The ball just wouldn't come up. He looked for a handle on the footy initially, and then it's off the shin, inside of the boot. Good defence in the end.
It was almost a Bradbury moment for Wayne Wilson.
It was almost a grand final moment for Nick Rewald. Naitanui.
Cox and Naitanui have an impact at the start of this last quarter.
Naitanui to Cox. He's only got Nunes to beat. I say only. He's got the reach. He's double Nunes' size.
Well, that's what you want from your big men. Take the big long marks long down the line. They've been able to do that through Naitanui and Cox.
Darling.
This is where Josh Hill needs to step up.
He feeds to the pocket. Splendid kick. Tough kick at goal coming up, but that was the spot where there was space, and Hill made the space, and the kick was equal to it.
No, it was a beautiful lead. That's the only option he had, because St Kilda had the extra back through the ruckman in McAvoy.
To make it a 2-point game. Josh Hill. It's been a quiet night at the office, just 6 possessions. And he's lucky to score.
They've been able to get the ball out quite easily all night, St Kilda, so it'll be interesting to see whether West Coast Eagles get the forward press happening again, try and hold the ball inside their forward 50.
Montagna to Trent Dennis-Lane.
He's got a good vertical leap, Trent Dennis-Lane, but Donnell did a good job there, just getting his man out of the way, protecting him.
Brennan needs to go. Can't complete the deal. Rosa.
That was terrific play. That was a 3-on-1 there from Rosa.
There's a bloke who's just not getting the footy at the present time. Spud, he's got away with one there. I think in another era that would have been called dragging it in and under and not getting rid of it, but he's just not getting anywhere near it. He's a 25 to 30 possession man. He's had just 10. He's playing a different role, more defensive, but he's got to get his share of the leather.
Cox to Prentice to Shuey. Marston almost trapped and stolen by Dennis-Lane. Naitanui, brilliant to Rosa. Nunes tackle on Adam Selwood was mesmerising. He just roped him in, dragged him down, another ball up.
Well, we talked about the tackling pressure and the intensity St Kilda needed to bring to the table. 56 to 31, St Kilda's favour. Great tackling game. And unfortunately, the West Coast Eagles, we talked about, they average well over 70 tackles. They've only had the 31.
Ball spills to ground. Gwilt, no prior opportunity taken to ground.
Saints got to be careful here. They're letting Gaff off the hook. He's now no longer being tagged.
And what West Coast are doing, they're not scoring goals, but they're keeping the ball inside their forward half, which will build the pressure for the Saints.
Mad scramble towards it. Ray gets there first to Montagna. Keeps it alive.
I'll take that back. Geary was just on the other side of the stoppage, the defensive side of the stoppage. He's gone back to Gaff.
There's Saunders. The sub has come on. Josh Saunders, just his 3rd game, and it's straight into the fire. Naitanui. Hearn. Dennis-Lane gets in front of him. Flicked out by Scott Selwood to Shepherd to Darling.
Dempster fell over. It's just slipped on the out of the starters blocks.
I saw it too, Jared. You could just see that Darling engaged Dempster, and Dempster looked for the footing and didn't find it. Went to ground.
Bit of an issue here for the Saints. They've lost their control of the stoppages. Cox has really given them a lift, but that time it was Naitanui just barging the ball forward, and they've just picked up a couple of handy stoppage clearance numbers over the last few minutes.
Yeah, 5 to 1, Jared. West Coast Eagles favour, and it's through Cox and Naitanui.
To make it a 1-point game. And the temperatures are rising here at Etihad.
They're just a totally different team when they are able to cash in on their ruck dominance. And there it is, Naitanui just barging his way like a front rower. Probably got some relatives in Fiji that were rugby league players. Spuds, I imagine the gene pool runs deep. And he just gets the ball well. In fact, his teammate gets the ball forward. And Dempster, unfortunately, slipped at the wrong time.
Well, what West Coast Eagles have been doing all night is winning the hit-outs, but now they're winning the clearances 6-1 at the start of the last quarter, giving their forwards first opportunity, which related into the 3 inside 50s to 1.
Nat Nui down to Marston, had his arm held by Stephen. Scott Selwood hammered into the deck. Gaff likewise. It's gone up another gear this game. Nat Nui through the traffic, spears the pass. Good grab, Dempster.
Magnificent grab from Dempster. Cool in a crisis.
Every time the West Coast Eagles lift, the Saints lift just as much. Ross, they've led from the outset, the Saints. They kicked the first 4 goals of this game. They now lead by just 1 point. Rewald drives it long. Sard up, can't mark it. Milne, he started the fire. High bomb by Armitage, but it's wide. Sard can't get there.
It's half a win for St Kilda. Looked like West Coast Eagles are going to keep the ball and retain inside their forward 50, so it's a huge win for the Saints to get the ball down their end.
Yeah, off the back of Dempster's mark, he's been one of the best.
The St Kilda chant rings around Etihad Stadium. They're trying to lift their boys. Gaff drives it long. Race on. Brown might get there first if it sits.
Oh, great play.
He kicks it 70 metres off the deck. Gwilt and Cox.
Oh, no.
Gwilt. Cox keeps his feet. Can he get it on the foot? Sidestep. Kicks around the body. Scores a level.
What a bit of agility there from Dean Cox. That was outstanding.
He looks like he's about to repeat his North Melbourne moment from last year, Spud, where he was clearly the best on the ground, albeit getting them across the line in that last quarter.
For the first time since the opening minute, it's all square. Saunders.
The Milne's on one leg. I was looking and...
Milne could go for goal. This is for the lead back.
What a goal.
Stunning from Stephen Milne.
Well, it was amazing. I look at Stephen Milne, he was limping off the ground, and he's looked up.
Right the dope, Spud.
He's found another leg.
Milne's still got some tricks up his sleeve.
Well, he's found another leg.
There he was, he had the limp. You watch it disappear.
You knew it was going to be a goal the minute he got it in his hands. To kick 4 goals, we said pre-game that Milne needed a big one for the Saints to win. Look at him limping. And then all of a sudden the ball's coming up. The limp feels a little bit better there.
Kicked just 1 goal in each of the last 2 games, Stephen Milne.
What do you think? Moon's down at ground level.
I was going to say, that's what all great forwards do. They live, they're hurt, they're sore. As soon as the ball comes their way, there's nothing wrong with them.
This is his best goal haul of the season, 4. And you think he might have 1 or 2 left. Marston long, Darling's the man. No Kennedy. Shuey pursues.
Look over his left. Got
tackled by Geary. Selwood. Rose of the spin.
Prentice is pushed. Shocking kick.
Embley, now it's just 15.
Well, come off. You were right, Jared, the first times. I thought Jack Stevens read it beautifully, but he actually flew too early, Jack Stevens. He couldn't believe his luck.
Yeah, the kick was going to Prentice, but it shanked. But fortunately, they had some extra cavalry there. Rosa coming round. Just chips the ball, and in comes Embley.
For the instant reply.
He's kicked the 2 goals, MB. You kick 3 as a half forward. You've achieved your goals as a half forward.
Normally a big-time player too.
Those 2 opportunities missed. Had Cox on the left and Embley there.
Doesn't even score. And even a behind might have been handy then. Dal Santo.
Setting up for counter-punch footy here, the Saints. Most of the Saints forwards are right up the ground on the other side of the centre. And now Meister going forward, and he's dragging Dean Cox to full back.
Scott Selwood wrapped up. Jumped on. He's a free.
Yeah, he's been as tough as ever. Selwood, 26 disposals, 10 of those contested. 5 clearances.
Marston long. Darling down there. Big fist from Gwilt.
They haven't got the marking target down there. Nat Nui's on the bench.
Darling has got nothing from the umpires today. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I thought it was too high. It was probably a really good tackle to St Kilda. Have a look. Very good decision. Great decision. Great tackle, Jack Stevens.
Here you go, Prittis. They get a free for too high to Matt Prittis. And they still have a chance to level the scores.
The tackling's been terrific, the Saints.
They've got to make some changes here, Spud, while they can, because there's Prittis just a whack in the nose, in the face. They need their marking target in the goal square, at least one of them. There's no Kennedy. They have to have a Cox or a Nat Nui there, because their whole structure, their game plan essentially revolves around the long kick.
I hope you're enjoying this show. These two are putting on a Sunday afternoon special.
You're right, Jared. You played all your career as you start as a forward in the midfield. You can sense just the midfield dominance around the middle there. Silly free kick in the end from Robertson, but Prittis, he's been terrific at 24 disposals. But it's, again, the West Coast Eagles are getting all their forward entries from winning the clearances through Cox and Natanui.
Well, Natanui onto the ball. Cox has got to go forward. I mean, the more fatigued you are, the more you need that bailout kick in the goal square.
Well, every face tells a story. That's the story of the story. The Saints kicked the first 4 goals of this game. They've led from the outset, and it's back to square.
They need a clearance. West Coast Eagles 9-1 this quarter. St Kilda.
Stephen to Montagna to Geary. And is it out on the full? It's a mark to Shepherd anyway.
It's been good in defence.
Put his body on the line there. There was a fence looming, and he kept his eye on the ball.
Spud, the Saints have got to get their midfield back in operation. They are just getting beaten badly at the moment. Just can't win the football, their chief playmakers.
Natanui the push-off on the left, centering kick. Cox, was he held? Umpire said no. Bounces to Prittis. Spins into a tackle. Appeared to have pride. Wins a push. And the Saints fans are ropeable.
I think Dempster did extremely well there to turn in the tackle. I thought that was a magnificent bit of play from Prittis. He won the hard ball. You can see Scotty Waters there nodding. But I bet Dempster here, let's have a look. He's turned him.
It was holding the ball before he fell on his back almost.
The context of the game, it's just a baller.
To the booze. With 9.5 minutes left. For the first time today, the West Coast Eagles lead.
And somebody had to lift for the West Coast Eagles, and Matt Prittis has been the man doing the heavy lifting. Natanui also. They have been the two. Cox in the third quarter to keep them competitive, but it's been Prittis, Natanui, and to a lesser extent Scotty Selwood, who have just been absolutely magnificent around the stoppages. Now the Saints need the reverse to happen. Reece Stanley is in there. McAvoy has gone into the centre for this clearance. So has Del Santa, who needs a big next 10.
Centre clearances, the dominance of Natanui, the height factor, and they're getting reward for effort at ground level, more importantly through Prittis, Selwood, Shuey.
Atmosphere is intense right now. The crowd roaring with each possession, with each tackle. Umpire waits. Shoveled out of the pack. Geary felt for high contact and he wins it.
Yeah, good decision. Good decision.
Had a great game, Geary.
To Armitage, uses the 15 and drives it.
Milne.
Stephen Milne, back of the pack, can waltz in. He waltzes in Milne style. He's got 5.
This is an unbelievable game of footy. Stephen Milne, you have to ask the question, why do you let Stephen Milne get out the back? If you're going to guard the dangerous space, it's always between. And there it is. Great play from Armitage. He's taking the game on. Taking the eyes off the ball there, Butler. As soon as you take the eyes off the ball and you watch your direct opponent as Milne run towards goal, it's all over for you. And how many times we've seen this from Stephen Milne throughout his career. Just an amazing game of football.
It's a great kick in. Well, the last centre clearance, Natanui could have smashed it and he just dropped it ineffectively. And the Saints won the clearance. If there's just a neutral ball, smash it as far as you can.
He tries the flick down to Kerr, but Prittis got it. Turnover. Montagna to half forward. It's been vintage Milne. Tried to flick it to Ray.
Gaff went to ground.
Ray does get it. Rolls it to Stanley. Milne still lurking. Through Butler. Gav. McKenzie. Scott Selwood. Embley. Robertson beats him to it. Embley crumbs. Turnover, not 15.
Numbers in the middle of the Saints.
Dalcerdo turns them inside out. Heads to Trent Dennis Lane. Kerr just got a fist on it. Hearn dragged down. Had no prior. All up.
The beauty of this game, we've got 8 minutes left on the clock. Every contest has got something on the end of it now.
And so much at stake. The Saints have just absolutely thrown everything into this match, and with 2 wins only, Scott Watters needs something to take into the next half of the season, and we know the situation for the Eagles.
It's almost as if with nothing on the end of it, then everything's on the end of it for the Saints. They're just playing for pride right now. They can't make the finals. And for the West Coast, their 2013 is on the line. Nat Ndui. Ray bounced straight past him. Robertson gives it to him. Pumps it to the hot spot. Good spot. Stanley.
It's all good forward. You're in front. I like him better forward. I know that McAvoy needs a spell in the rack, but West Coast Eagles were getting on top when Stanley was in the midfield, and that's where he looks dangerous because he's super quick.
Well, Farron Ray has just run himself into the ground. He's been very effective today.
Any score will give them the lead back. Still an enormous amount of time left though in this one. But he sprays it.
Well, we know it's going to go to the wire. It's as simple as that. Both sides, it's like the arm wrestle, and they're just locked. There's no movement in the arm wrestle whatsoever.
Hope you're enjoying it home, wherever you're watching, in high definition. Those pictures painted 1,000 words. The Saints fans hanging on everything. And West Coast Eagles fans that are here and back at home, their hopes of playing finals might be on the end of this next 7 minutes. Everybody takes a breath. We'll get a ball in on the wing.
Which midfield's prepared to run the hardest? Nat Ndui in the goal square against Wilk.
Gaff to Cox. Tried his heart out. To Darling likewise. To Dempster likewise.
It's been a magnificent duel, isn't it? Dempster and Darling. It's fantastic to watch. They're just been skin on skin all night. And no quarter given whatsoever between Dempster and Darling. 2 fantastic players.
Just had so much more of the footy in this term, the Eagles. The Saints will get one back there, but it's 36 to 56.
The thing about the Saints, their tackling pressure's still there. 16 tackles to 4, which means the West Coast Eagles by foot, they're going at 53%. So the pressure is still there.
Drives it long down the line. Stanley with a fist. Montagna on the run. You know he wants Milne. Milne fed back, not forward, and Butler came forward. Untidy kick. Trent Dennis Lane should trap it. Feeds it up. Montagna a bounce. Open goal. A second bounce. Just needs to finish the deal and misses. He had 2 teammates in the square.
Well, was it all too easy for him? It was just all too easy. Sam Butler would be relieved, I know that. We can see Joey Montagna has had a great game, by the way. He's had 6 disposals this quarter.
Oh, they're huddled up pretty well here, the West Coast Eagles, and there weren't any outriders, and they've got it away nicely.
Adam Selwood flicks it on. Kick around the body, should find the line from Dempster, and everybody can reset. Saints by 2 points. Crowd look at the scoreboard here and it says 23 minutes gone. They know it's not going to be a long quarter. 5 minutes and 51 left. It's been edge of the seat stuff from the outset. You haven't been able to look away once. Stephen Ball, big call.
Well, Nat Ndui's the danger. He's up against Wilk. They've just got to get it into the goal square. It won't be from this kick though.
Scott Selwood to Cox. Rewalt holds him up. Nat Ndui's in the square. Is this going to be a Nat Ndui moment? He puts it up for one. He's up from 4 deep. Geary with the fist. Open space ahead though. McAvoy. Ray. Meister needs to get there for the bounce.
Good run from Saunders here.
He's the sub. He's fresh on. Good grab. The crowd roar. Rewalt's at half forward. One-on-one with Brown. Slap down. Cripps. Maston.
Probably got Nat Nui on the middle. He's missed him, mate.
There you go. Meister as a spare across half-back. He's got to avoid
short.
Gaff to Hill. And this becomes huge.
That's what he needs to do, Josh Hill. Just get on his bike and lead. It's impossible to defend with a kick like that.
And the crowd edge back into their seats. This is for the lead back. With 4 minutes left on the clock. He hasn't had a big day. He needs to make it his moment. Nat Nui! Couldn't quite.
It was all there for him.
West Coast Eagles need to win this to get back into the 8 at the halfway mark.
Talk about their tough run after the bye too, Dwayne. It's a game they must win.
And they've got 4 minutes left to win it. Donnell, good contest. Robertson ran into a gang tackle. Del Santo keeps his feet.
Been terrific tonight, Del Santo.
Milne will push out the back.
Saab wanted to knock it on. Rewalt knew that Milne was running. Just couldn't hit it well.
And the Saints have got a lockdown on Cox out the back. He has dropped it out the back half a dozen times in this last 45 minutes of play.
It was better play from Butler.
Drops it to the front.
Cox down to Del Santo.
Brown's out in his feet here.
Bounced highly for Rewalt and he thumps it to the line. Saints know that time is on their side and the scoreboard is on their side.
Nick Rewalt and Brown, they are absolutely spent.
But 3.5 minutes is an eternity. Fed back to Wilson. Almost off the deck from Stephen. Ray went hard. Butler's over it. Holds it in. Umpire circling. Says ball up.
It was a great smother from Butler. He couldn't possibly play that. He's put his body on the line. Magnificent. It was a certain goal from Stevens off the ground.
You sense the West Coast Eagles players don't want to rush it behind here. Marston, Scott Selwood, open space ahead. A bounce kind for Geary. Slaps it down. Saunders, Robertson, not 15. Nunes on the open side. He sees Meister, puts it in front. Perfection with that pass. And he says, hang on, boys. Let's take some seconds on the clock. Let's edge it down to 2 minutes.
I think it was a kick from Josh Saunders under pressure.
Yep, he's done well. His kick has let him down today, but I think the coach will let him off the hook if he threads this one, Spud.
Delisted by the West Coast. This would make him feel good. Nice off the boot. Drifting a little. Just through for a behind. It's a 2-point game with 2:24 left. Hearn. You know he wants to go long. Straight down the middle to Nat Nui territory. He's got 4 to beat as always. The flick on works. Outside of the boot, Rosa. This will tumble. McKenzie pumping hard.
Oh,
Meister falls. This is for the lead. McKenzie, open goal. This is crazy good.
Well, this is the quickest goal in AFL football there, you see. It's unbelievable there, Scotty Waters. What a magnificent goal from Hearn. That Nui got the hit over the top. And then you see McKenzie, the run and the one. Have a look at the long kick from here, from Hearn.
See if we can pick up from where McKenzie comes from. There he is, just charging. No, it's not him, that's Rosa.
Here he is here. He's come from half-forward line, and then all of a sudden Meister clicks heels and falls over. What a big goal.
Massive goal to put the Eagles back in front by 4 points. Dean Cox immediately yelled to the bench, signalled to the bench, how much time do we have? And he's taken himself down and sat right in front of the Nick Nat Nui, but they need a clearance.
Scott Selwood rolls it forward. Saints have the numbers there, though.
Yeah, well, they've got extra numbers behind the ball now, the Saints, because the West Coast Eagles have put 2 behind.
In the back, got to go to the Saints. Montagne's been a star all day. Can he get them home?
Well, now what the St Kilda extras have to do is push down and give Montagne a one-on-one target, because there's extra Eagles down there through Cox and Hearn.
Puts it up in hope. Meister and Cox with a nudge out, back of the pack. Armitage falls. West Coast with a number advantage. Hearn sneaks the kick to Wembley.
That was the kick from Hearn under pressure.
Got a man up, got to get it back here. The Saints invested so much. They just need one mistake from the Eagles. Got to push up.
Natanui's trying to get down the line. Now Cox has to come down the line. Cox is looking for the short way here in the screen. He has to get out near the wing, and McKenzie goes long to the contest.
West Coast Eagles have led this game for a total of 2 minutes. Darling. 1 minute earlier and 1 minute now. Cox bangs it forward, and we're down to a minute.
Oh, perfect kick for Cox.
Stands on its end. Cripps, the former Saint, kept it in to nil. Dempster. Was that a poor decision or not? We're about to find out. Last roll of the dice coming up for the Saints. Wide ball from Dempster. The crowd roaring. Geary's got it. They don't know how long left. We're down to 40 seconds. Rewald needs to mark it. 3 against him. Almost does. Towed off the deck. A roller. Milne. He was the hero earlier. Saad tried to knock it on. Almost a free. Down to 20 seconds. Ball. What?
Gee, Saad was stiff there. He was taken high. It looked, and Scott Waters just looks on in disbelief.
Well, what they need to do now is get an extra behind the ball, West Coast, and they just ice the clock. They need to get someone behind the ball and go long down the line.
Natanu'i, and it's over. The West Coast Eagles 2013 is alive again. And this game has been phenomenal.
Magnificent win, guys. That is a magnificent win. Brave St Kilda, but the West Coast Eagles beautifully called, Dwayne. I'm lost for words, Jared.
I'll tell you what, the Eagles have got a hell of a lot of support. And those that did fly in for it have been duly rewarded with an incredible game. But you just can't help but feel sorry for the Saints, who have invested so much in this performance, to be robbed by just 4 points. Hard to see where it came from, Dwayne. The West Coast Eagles coming back. They hung in and hung in and hung in, and in the end, just on the back of a brilliant last quarter from Priddis, Natanu'i and Cox, they just found a way to get across the line and keep their season alive.
Tears here. That's how hard these Saints fans feel this. But this is massive for the West Coast Eagles. And Dean Cox is downstairs with Cameron Mooney.
Well, big fella, I reckon there's a lot of relief after that siren chant, because top 4 on the line wasn't pretty, but you got over the top.
Yeah, it was. To Saints' credit, they're a really good side and coming us hard. And to our boys' rally, we didn't play that well, turn the footy over a lot, and just keep our season going, which is pleasing.
Well, what was said at 3/4 time, because I put the pressure on you, Natanu'i and a few other guys, and you stepped up, mate.
Yeah, it's just a matter of trying to finish the game out. We knew we had a lot of run left in the legs. We knew that if we played to our structures, we could get over the line. Just basically take the game on. And, Big Easy goes forward a couple of times and kicks a couple of goals. And just a really good effort by Priddis as well, late.
Mate, well done, Chevy. You deserve it, mate.
Thanks very much.
Seasons can hinge on wins from behind, wins from the heart like this.
They can, and the West Coast Eagles continue to believe and have an opportunity to play finals footy, potentially the top 4 position if they can win some games against highly qualified opposition coming up. But there'll be a lot of Saints supporters feeling exactly like that young bloke at this stage, because they could not have given 1% more of anything. They were absolutely magnificent today. But down on the boundary line, we've got Cameron Mooney with Matt Priddis.
Yeah, Dwayne and Matt, 2 big goals in our last quarter, mate. You just stepped up. It was beautiful.
We've been fighting pretty hard, the guys, and it was a real character win, and we're just really happy to come away with the 4 points.
Well, you could just see the guys, the celebration after it was a desperate win for you guys, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We haven't been going too well. We're not playing the footy we want, but we believe we'll keep working, training hard, playing hard, then it'll turn around for us. And we're missing some key players today, so it shows the character of the group, and it's still there.
Is it as simple as you're just missing key players and the injuries that have happened this year that you just can't quite get your game going?
No, I don't think it's that. I just think we're just off in too many areas. They're only small things, but we've got plenty of time to turn around, and we've got to...
Well, mate, you've got a little break coming up, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
27 possessions for Prentice, 34 to Scott Selwood, Lee Montagna with 29. Don't go far. We'll be back to wrap up this. Seen some fantastic games in 2013, but it's got to be said, this one was off the scale. St Kilda 11-14-80. The West Coast Eagles, a win that could prove priceless. 12-12-84. Eagles by 4.
We saw a lot of the agony from Saints fans. Here's a little bit of the ecstasy from the West Coast Eagles. Their 2013 is still alive, and tonight, heading into the bye, inside the top 8. Hope you enjoyed that wherever you watched it around the land. If that's the kind of contest we're going to get between those two teams heading into this round with 9th and 16th, then the AFL is in pretty good shape. 12-12-84 to 11-14-80. The West Coast by 4 points. What did you think of that, Jared?
Well, I was trying to think of other games to compete with it, Dwayne, but I haven't enjoyed a game more than that one. That was just a cracking game. 80-84, it wasn't a high-scoring game, 23 goals kicked, but I've never seen a loser deserve a win this year more than St Kilda, and that's taking nothing away from the West Coast.
Yeah.
They battled against themselves. They're making lots of mistakes, as a lot of their players have said, but they found a way to win today when a couple of games this year they haven't been able to do so. And I know it'll be no consolation for Scott Waters.
Yeah.
But he's got something to build with. If they can bring that sort of energy and effort to the table for the rest of this season, then on the basis of some of the young players we've seen today, they're not as far away as some of the doomsayers regarding St Kilda suggest.
Let's go down to the West Coast Eagles rooms. Cameron Mooney.
Thanks to Wayne and Woosh. Some days you're thinking, I love coaching. Other days you're thinking, what am I doing? What was today?
Yeah, today was one of those fairly frustrating days. Some disappointing parts of the game. Not through lack of effort tonight. Last week we thought the boys were well and truly flat in their effort, but their effort was there tonight. And really, what we asked at half-time was that we're not going great, but maintain the effort and things will happen. And it was either side was going to be lucky or unlucky either way. I think whoever ended up in front when that siren went, but at least on our behalf we did keep trying.
And when you're in the coach's box, every now and then you pull a move and you think that's a great move. Eric McKenzie, was that yours?
No, it definitely wasn't. I don't know. I didn't know it was him down there. I thought it must have been someone like Gaffey who's can run. But that's one thing about Eric. He's a wonderful athlete and works his butt off. And when you consider he'd been running around with Nick Revolt for most of the game, to still have that run on his legs to get down there and to read that passage of play so well.
Mate, I'll throw you up to the boys.
Thank you.
John, Jared and Dwayne upstairs. I think one of the problems you've got as a coach is that you can't sit back and enjoy what we just enjoyed. It was just 44 players giving absolutely everything, and that was something that you queried against your own team last week, the effort, but you couldn't have doubted one player out on the ground.
No, not at all. And there are certainly times within the game where you have some doubts about them, and we curse and we say silly things, but really what we're looking for is that the players have a desire to want to keep getting better and improve. And we're not moving the ball as well as we'd like at the moment, but they want to get back to that point where we can play our best footy. So really that was what we challenged the guys about tonight. We thought with Hams coming in, Blaine Wilson coming in, they've been in very good form in the WAFL and deserve their opportunities tonight. And Cripps in the end with the coming in late to cover off for Kennedy. So all those boys really gave what they could for us tonight to help us get to where we were in a chance to either just win or certainly be thereabouts.
We're just having a look at some of the emotions that you had to endure in the coach's box, but surely you're an old hand at this. You've been in grand finals, a couple of them decided by less than a kick.
Yeah, those are always distant memories. They're usually distant memories a week or so after, unfortunately. They're things that, you just always want to coach the perfect game, and you want the team to be the perfect team. And that's, I think, what we're always all striving for. And no one's ever done it yet, but, we'll keep challenging ourselves to do the hard work to keep getting better.
The one thing that appeared to change in that last quarter was your clearance numbers. Matty Prittis in particular, Dean Cox was really good after half-time, I thought. Nat Nui lifted a bit. I thought Matt Prittis was the clearance player that you have been looking for the last couple of weeks, and he gave you a match-winning performance late.
Yeah, and also, a couple where he worked really hard out of the stoppage to Crum going forward, and kicked a couple of handy goals for us as well. So it was an outstanding quarter by Pritter. Look, we did a lot of different things through the midfield tonight, and as I said pre-game, we've been trying to get some more flexibility through there, but sometimes when the crunch is on, those real experienced heads can help you get the job done. And we were keen to get Cripps in on ball at some stage throughout the last quarter because he was fresh, but the guys that were in there had really lifted and were doing the job, so he didn't really need to even do that.
John, we're about to roll vision of that last play, the match-winning play. You probably don't have a monitor down there, but can you talk us through it as we watch it? How did it go? You expected Hearn to kick long from the kick in?
Yeah, we'd certainly got the message out to the players around the next score, any point that was scored. We had an idea what we were trying to do, and either way, if there was a goal scored, we'd already told the players how we wanted them to react to that. So, the way the long kick plays out, you're never really sure. But, we certainly had the players in the key positions that we wanted, other than I don't know how Eric bobbed up down there.
Yeah, but he did bob up. You've got the bye coming up. We know that you've got a really tough run, but you must be getting some players back to arm yourselves against some of those top-line clubs that you're about to face.
Yeah, we would fully expect, the guys that came out of today's team in Kennedy, Glass, LaCroix, Waters and Schofield. I think all those guys will be available, and not only available, but they'll have freshened up having missed today's game, and it's not as though they've been out for a while. They'll all be really ready to go and impact. So we're confident with that, and we're also, as we only just briefly spoke about it, that we just want to keep working hard and let the cards fall the way they do throughout the year. If we work extremely hard and have that focus of getting back playing our best footy, that's all I can ask of the players.
And one last one, John. What about yourself? You get to the bye. You've got to the bye in the black 6 and 5. Do you take just a breather and hope that the thing will turn around, because it's been up and down all year? Mostly, it must have taken its toll on you with good players going down on a regular basis. Have you taken a big sigh of relief on the back of that one?
Not really, no. We've got a lot to do. So, we're on the bus in about 20 minutes to get home, and we're going to review what's happened in the year to date, really in depth throughout the week. The players will get the weekend off to physically and mentally recover and charge themselves for the second half of the year, but we'll work through pretty solid, and I'm looking forward to the challenges that lay ahead. I'll do the hard work, and it's up to us to make something out of this season. Obviously it won't happen, and we know we're playing really good sides coming up, but if you can't beat those sides, you're not rated up there as good as them, and you end up where you deserve to end up. If you beat those sides, then you know you're right in the hunt.
Thanks a lot for your time, John. Always a delight to have a chat to you, and good luck across the next month and a half, which is going to be tough. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
John Worsfold, coach of the West Coast Eagles. It was an amazing game. It seesawed in the last quarter. They had their opportunities, the Saints, to stretch the lead out. For those people unaware of the story, they kicked the first 4 goals of this game, led by 24 points. But the last quarter was fantastic. But this moment here for Rewalt and for Blaine Wilson to get back and touch that as well.
Yeah, he had a memorable debut, didn't he, Blaine Wilson? Goes forward, Darling goes bang and gets a goal. He had a magnificent battle. There were so many great one-on-ones, and him and Dempster was quite superb. And the ball goes forward here. Milner's superb. I mean, Milner's struggled this year. He's had a great track record at this ground and against this club, and he didn't let them down again today.
They went forward a couple of times, the West Coast, and Embley misses this, and I think every Saints fan thought, well, maybe we're going to win it from here. But there was a couple of decisive things, little free kicks given. Prittis really had to nail that, otherwise they were probably dead and buried. And we showed you that final play. There was a couple of free kicks that were dubious. That could have been holding the ball before he was fallen on Prittis, so Dempster was unlucky there.
I've got to say, when I saw the live play, I thought it was going to be against Dempster, but they went forward again. Had another one where it was Joey Montagna could have kicked another goal, but they kept coming, the Saints, and this is why it was such a magnificent game, because it nearly finished on a mistake like that, and fortunately for Sam Butler it didn't, because there was a handball target there, and he will relive that moment, Joe, a number of times tonight. Handball over the top, and it's a done deal.
And here's the replay of that last play, the match-winning play again. This is with just seconds left on the clock. The Hearn long kick, the Rosa barrel forward. No one really expected McKenzie. You see Mainster fall in the background there. No one expected McKenzie to be able to run all the way from fullback to kick that goal. It really was a phenomenal game to watch unfold, and as heartbreaking as it is for the Saints, they couldn't make the finals anyway in 2013. This is such a valuable 4 points for the West Coast Eagles. They were outside the 8 heading into today. It was all about them today. They win today. They move their way back inside the top 8, and they did that with such style in the end. It's got to be a massive boost for them. And the song, I'm sure they're going to sing it with everything they've got, because they played with everything they had. West Coast Eagles sing the song. Straight after that song, we'll get on the bus. And Jared, you're about to get in your car. You've got to get some rest. You've got a massive day tomorrow. I know you're going to sit back and watch on Fox Footy, the Melbourne-Collingwood game, which starts at 2:30. You'll see that live in high definition on Fox. And then AFL 360 after that. Just warming the set for On the Couch. Kieran Jack is going to be the special guest on the couch. And that's going to be a pretty good chat on the couch, given that the Sydney Swans are one of the form teams in the competition, and then open mic with Sam Kekovich.
Are they the new flag favourites, the Sydney Swans? Have they gone above the Hawks or not?
I think they have in some respects, because you can't really gauge what Geelong did yesterday either against GWS. I mean, Geelong won the game, but it was against GWS, so we can't really factor in the Cats, but the Cats do get a few back. But the Swans, with Kirk Tippett coming in, it's going to be a pretty impressive lineup. Yeah, they couldn't be any more impressive. Never met Kieran Jack, the Sydney Swans captain. Really looking forward to him. He's part of a magnificent midfield that runs about 14 deep. You wouldn't want to be trying to get a spot in that midfield, but you've got a feel for the Saints and their supporters. The players gave everything. I think the crowd gave everything. They couldn't have done any more than to get them across the line. And there's a couple of famous faces. Unfortunately, they fell just a kick short, or a 30-second short when it's all said and done.